Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
It's hump day. Yep, it's hump day. And here I am, Dave Scott, in SOR headquarters. Thank you to everybody who tuned on in to listening to me and Connie Willis, host for Walter M. Sterling on Sterling Every Damn Night on WPHT in Philadelphia, 12:10 a.m. What a pleasure that was the last two nights, but we're through that. We are through it, and now we get back to SOR on a nightly basis. We got Josh Rutledge back. He was just here 2 nights ago, but we got to continue the conversation. Olav Phillips is going to join us at the bottom of the hour because there are people claiming that Alan Greenfield and now Olav Phillips are actually Terry Wriste. So Olav is going to join Josh and I, and we're going to drill him on that. Let's say hello to each and every one of you before Dirty Fylth gets here. We got Race Fan in the gold medal position. Marty Burback with a silver. Robert Lamoth taking home the bronze medal tonight. Hi, Les Paul Holland. Good to see you. Jeff Steve Garvey. He'll hit a home run for you. Little Timmy James. Hi in the chat room. Hi right in front of me. Good to have you here. All right. Mr. Catfish has returned. Mr. Catfish will be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio, if you don't mind, to the left of the studio. Mel WD-40 filling in for Bill WD-40, lubing us up for tonight's show because you always want to go into a show nice and smooth. You don't want that rigidness. It's not fun. It doesn't feel good. So he makes it smooth for us. Thank you, Mel. And Deanna Ann, nice to see you. Lee the Bee and Brown Dwarf, good to have you here. Radio Wendigo is here. Radio Wendigo will be signing autographs after the show as well. Line up to the right of the studio, if you don't mind, to the right of the studio. Noble Patrick, how you doing? And number 6 in your program, starting at right defense from Stockholm, Sweden, Lars Jansson. There he is. Rose Demaray, how are you? Jazz Ramblings, nice to see you. Human Carl is here. Human Carl is back. We love a great veteran. Science Bob had some family matters he needed to take care of tonight, Human Carl. That's why Josh is back filling in with us tonight. Kurt M. S. Vermette and Thomas Rock, nice to see you. Mama Catherine, mwah! Double shot. Mwah! I love you. One for each cheek, Mama Catherine, and a big hug to you. Hope you're doing well. Glenn John McEnroe, the pride of Wimbledon. Corey, Karen in the Woo Train, and Paramarv. Nice to see you all. Lisa Smith, good to see you. Jessica McCreary and her gorgeous hair are back. Yeah, she just goes like this. And it flows beautifully. Operation Shutdown. Richard Steele, Necessary Dialogue. How you doing? Cat's Tongue, welcome to SOR Chat. Hi, Mennonite Abe. Good to see you. Pam Harris and Tim Mothman and his goatee, 2 separate entities. Good to have you both here. And Aaron Elizabeth, welcome to SOR Chat. Continuing on with our roll call, because we got like a minute and a little bit. Vash the Impaler, nice to have you here. Al Goray over on Twitch, bench pressed 800 pounds 47 times tonight. 47 times. He's ready. He's pumped up for tonight. Continuing on with roll call. Hi there, Audra Lynn. Nice to see you. Digger Dog, thanks for joining us. Dead Fish, thank you for coming on in. Here we go. Continuing on with our roll call. Susan Alloway, thank you for joining us. And who's next on our list here? Dirty Fylth in the chat room. Good to see you. All right, let's get the radio side going. Hi, Mike Rivers. Hello and welcome to the radio and podcast side of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Who and what is Valiant Thor? Josh Rutledge is going to join us for the second time in 3 nights, where we are going to have an amazing amount of fun going in there. Oh, yeah. We are going to have fun. And we have no sound going in here. No sound. Wonderful. Why do we not have sound? Think, Dave. Think. Testing. 1, 2. All right. Why do we not have sound? Testing. 1, 2. Testing. 1, 2. Testing. 1, 2, 3. Testing. 1, 2. From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. We are going to have an amazing show for you tonight for the second time in 3 nights. Josh Rutledge is going to join us. We have a lot of information to cover with him tonight on Valiant Thor, on Terry Wriste, and so much more coming on up momentarily. Then in hour number 3, Swamp Dweller will join us with another spooky story, followed up by Tim James, who will have an amazing UFO report. All right, let's get right to it. The reason why I'm bringing Josh Rutledge on for the second night in a row, well, in 3 nights, I should say, is because we had this amazing conversation about Terry Wriste. And there were comments on our YouTube channel. Josh got comments as well, thinking that Alan Greenfield, the author of the secret cipher UFOnauts, or UFOnauts, whatever you want to call them, that he was actually Terry Wriste. And there were people commenting on our channel that they thought Olav Phillips was now Terry Wriste, as Terry Wriste is a pseudonym for many different people. We're also going to get into the Valiant Thor story. Now, this is about an alien and his team from Venus who came to Earth in the 1950s, 60s, and Josh is going to break that all down for us as well. Josh, it's so good to have you back on Spaced Out Radio. Normally, I never bring a guest on that but it was just so fun and so interesting the other night that I had to do it again. I had to.
Well, I mean, I had a great time the other night, and I am stoked to jump back into it tonight. So I really haven't thought about anything else other than Terry Wriste and all the stuff that kind of happened. You kind of reignited that fire within me to start looking back into emails and all the stuff that we received over those 9 months. So yeah, really looking forward to diving back into it.
You know, when we talked the other night about Terry Wriste, I mean, we got into a real in-depth conversation about him. And we went real deep. And I didn't realize that you believe that he was multiple people. not just one person, but multiple people over the years using that pseudonym. For our audience who may not have caught the last show, maybe break that down why you think that.
Sure. I mean, for one thing, the Terry Wriste that interacts in Alan Greenfield's books via the conversation that's kind of in the appendix in the books seems to be a slightly different character than maybe the one that interacted with the Newkirks in Hellier. And then we found out through the Hellier show that there was potentially yet another kind of Terry Wriste character that interacted with the guy in Kentucky or Georgia, wherever it was that they interviewed that gentleman, kind of like a shooting range that Terry showed up at. So it would kind of make sense if you think about it. If the Terry Wriste was more of a pseudonym inherited or used by a number of different people as kind of like a whistleblower type situation, or just to kind of get the word out there more about the things that are going on the planet and all of this kind of thing, that instead of having it all fall to one person, kind of spread the load, if you will, across multiple people. Maybe they inherit it over time. Maybe there's always more than one person functioning as Terry Wriste. When you think about, though, the example that I always like to use is if you've ever seen The Princess Bride, the Dread Pirate Roberts. I don't want anybody who hasn't seen The Princess Bride, I want to try not to ruin it for you, but that Dread Pirate Roberts is inherited by other people who kind of continue the name. And so, it could be very much the same way with Terry Wriste, and that different people are kind of keeping it going, keeping the name in the public eye, so to speak, across these different contacts, but all of the while maybe sharing different information. For example, and with Alan, most of the information is really about Georgia. With the Newkirks, it's very much about, the Appalachian area, West Virginia, Kentucky, all that kind of stuff. The Terry Wriste that reached out to us, me and my friend Stefan, was very much about California, Nevada, Arizona, Colorado, pretty much the western part of the United States. But he did include even some stuff about Asia as well in his communications. So, so that's the gist of it.
As you've gone along this adventure, trying to figure out Terry Wriste and trying to figure out the legend of Indrid Cold and many others tied to it, how fun has this been for you trying to put these puzzle pieces together?
Oh, I love a mystery. In fact, one of my favorite book series growing up was always the Choose Your Own Adventure books. I don't know if anybody in the audience ever read those, but you would read a certain point and it would say, if it's option A, go to page whatever in option B. And then I would always read, go with option A, go forward, and then go back and reread it and pick the different options and see how the book unfolded differently. And so for me, that's what this is. It's kind of there's all these little myriads of different pieces that fit together, and not all of them fit together along kind of the same story arc. And so it's a really fun mystery to get into, because there are so many different avenues that you can go down towards uncovering what this person and their kind of larger kind of grouping of interesting characters, Indrid Cold, Valiant Thor, etc., and how they all kind of fit together. What are their similarities in the way? What are the stories they're trying to convey? What are the messages they're trying to convey? And how does it, in the end of the day, how does it all translate to us, like to the people who seemingly they want to try to convey some aspect of this mystery to? What does it mean to us? Like, what can we take from it and either do differently with our lives, or find stuff in the desert that uncovers some hidden past that we have forgotten about. That's it really is that choose your own adventure mystery that is just a blast to go through and uncover and see what you may have missed. And one of the things that, for me, that I always bring to the table as well is I have an eidetic memory, and so anything that I see, I can quickly recall it. And so, because of that, I oftentimes think about different cases that maybe other people have not thought to link together, and I see the similarities, almost like the little string board in my brain of all these different cases and how they're all somehow related to each other from different aspects. And so, going along the road of Indrid Cold or Valiant Thor or Terry Wriste or any number of other interesting individuals that have popped up throughout our kind of ufology history, modern history, there's connections there that I pick out in my brain, and it kind of gives me then that next string to pull at, that next choose your own adventure path.
Okay, so as you kind of go along these adventures, it's taking you down the UFO road. It's made you look into Valiant Thor. It's made you look into a lot of different projects, and we will get into Valiant Thor a little bit later on the show. But for you, as you try and tie all these together, is there a commonality between all of this?
So, I mean, I think if you maybe take it up to the, and I'm sorry, this may not be as cool for some people, but if you take it up to like the spiritual level, like the kind of the message that all of these different stories or people, like the underlying message that they're all trying to convey is that, like, we as humans need to kind of knock off the crap that we're doing to our planet, to each other, and kind of unify and kind of come together and fight a different enemy. You think about the Reagan speech. You play it as a part of your intro. The common, how might our differences fall away if there was a common whatever to for a foreign entity that invaded. When you talk about Terry Wriste and others, it really does seem like there's some sort of it's not just hey, come together and realize that you're all humans and it doesn't really matter where you live and what your background is and all that kind of stuff, and really unite together from a human race perspective so that you can stop killing your planet. Because, last I checked, there wasn't another one really close by that we could quickly move to. But also that a more unified human race would be able to potentially fight off some potential threat that we may not know about yet, that is maybe lurking in the shadows, that maybe Terry Wriste knows about, or at least was privy to some part of that threat. He talks about going into cave bases and attacking aliens and grays and things like that. So maybe there is some kind of ongoing effort to stave off an invasion and a more unified human race, with all of us working towards a common goal. Obviously would be better towards defeating that unknown enemy than if we were all still squabbling amongst ourselves about some of the dumb things that we all fight about.
As we continue on and talk about everything to do with Terry Wriste and Valiant Thor, Indrid Cold, they also seem to be all tied to the deep, darker side of ufology. I don't know really how else to explain that. I mean, do you see them being part of the movement that's trying to move the UFO story along? Maybe not on a government side, but everybody wants to believe these ones. Everyone wants to know that you can summon Indrid Cold, or you can potentially go to Washington, D.C. and see Valiant Thor. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Well, I think that if anything, the other commonality that Indrid Cold and Valiant Thor have is that they're generally described as looking like us. And so when you think about all the different beings that have supposedly made contact with humans over the course of kind of modern history, let's say within the last 100 years, these two are individuals who, for the most part, are described as looking like humans. And so it would make sense that we would resonate, or at a minimum, we would want to connect with these entities that look more human. That we don't have maybe that underlying sense of fear because they look so much different from us, like the Greys do, or the reptilians, or the draconians, or so on and so forth. So it may just be that, very simply being that if it's human, we feel more comfortable, or if it looks human, we feel more comfortable with it. So we really want to make those introductions. We want to summon, as you say, Indrid Cold, or we want to meet Valiant Thor. But it's very much also possible that because we have those names kind of in our public record, if you will, of ufology, and they date back, to the 50s and 60s, and kind of the golden age, if you will, of modern ufology. It's also possible that we resonate with them because of that. It predates, if you will, a lot of the more modern, scary aspects of ET contact with the abductions and so on and so forth. So it goes back to the era of everybody being a contactee instead of an abductee. And I know that there were abductions that happened around that time as well. Betty and Barty Hill is one. There have been others, but it's still, most of the people in that era were just contactees. Most of their experiences with those entities were of a positive nature. And so as we look at ufology and the introduction of the abductee phenomena, I could see where we would want to go back to the seemingly safe aspect of just being contactees.
No, I could totally see that. And how come we don't see a lot of people coming out saying they have had contact with these entities? Valiant Thor has never really seemed to be into the how can I put it? He hasn't really seemed to be in the public eye. He seems to be more governmental for some reason. Indrid Cold, we've heard stories about him, going into people's minds and being almost like a translucent entity, like a ghost or spirit being that you can summon, but sometimes he'll provide a physical entity as well. I mean, there's all this weirdness around it, man.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, for the most part, Valiant Thor we were introduced to him, obviously, from the book from Dr. Strangers. I don't want to get too far into Valiant Thor because I know that's coming down a little bit later down the road, but you're right. He's very much more of he went to the government, he worked with the government, and so on and so forth. I had the opportunity, though, for my other podcast with my friend Stefan to interview Craig Campobasso, who became friends with Frank Strages later on in Frank's life. And Craig had some really interesting information to share about Valiant Thor. So I'm sure we'll get into that a little bit later on in the show. But, I think, from that angle, Indrid, like you said, feels more esoteric, if you will, in his connection with people, whereas Valiant seems more technical. There's rules, there's protocols. I'm going to introduce myself to the government. I'm going to make my technology available for testing, so on and so forth.
Do you think, though, that Valiant Thor wanted to be in the public eye, or that it was his mission to come to the United States after studying this planet and figuring this is what he has to do?
I think that when you realize that Valiant Thor landed, he basically turned himself over to the police officers that arrived on scene and then asked to speak with the president, which that whole exchange of itself had to have been interesting. You see this spaceship land, this gentleman gets out and he says, literally, take me to your leader. And then they just do that. They just take him to meet the president. And so, but I mean, he very much stepped out of his ship with the expectation that, or maybe the understanding that in order to change the world, the best people to talk to are the U.S. government. Little did he know that that is really not the case. So I think where Indrid tried to maybe, it's kind of like attacking, if you will, or attacking a problem from two fronts. Valiant went military or government. Indrid went individual. And so many other characters outside of Indrid Cold also really have made it a point to try to work directly with individuals instead of the government. So it really seems like a two-fronted approach, if you will, to getting us to change our ways.
Yeah, there seems to be a message on both sides. That they want us to become more like them, which is a lot more free spirit, a lot more exploration, a lot less war, a lot less suffering, living for one another, very communal, shall we say.
Yeah, and it's really interesting when Terry Wriste talks about in the second interview with Alan, where he got to meet or he tracked down Indrid Cold. One of the things that he says in his interview with Alan is that Indrid introduced himself to Woody Derenberger by saying, he comes from a land less powerful than yours. And a lot of people, when they read that book, they basically take it to mean that, he comes from an area that doesn't get hung up on, let's say, military force or the superiority of weaponry, whatever the case may be. The way that Terry interprets that statement is, again, this is all based on the interview with Alan. Terry interprets that as being Indrid comes from a place that's already been conquered by the Greys. And so therefore, that's why it's less powerful than Earth, because Earth has not yet been conquered by the Greys. And so that's where Terry wants to get involved and figure out how to defeat the Greys to keep us from being a less powerful land.
Well, you know what? We're going to get into a lot of this tonight, including in the next half hour. We're going to get Olav Phillips on here about Terry Wriste. We're going to ask my buddy Olav right off the bat, are you Terry R. Wriste? And I know he's sitting at his home somewhere hidden in the mountains of Oregon right now, laughing his butt off as we do this. But, I just want to let you know that we got to get into this. I mean, this is a mystery that won't go away. It's not going to go away until we deal with it. So, I mean, I don't know about you, but I just get a little buzzed up in a good way just thinking about this.
Yeah, very much so. The other night when we were on, I had a couple of my gadgets, turned on. I've got all kinds of technology for when I go out and do investigations for either MUFON or just for myself. And one of them has a detector in it that detects the 1.6 gigahertz frequency band. If you've paid attention at all at Skinwalker Ranch, they get all kinds of bursts of energy in the 1.6 gigahertz range. Well, when we went to break one time last, 2 nights ago, that 1.6 sensor went off. So something was in the area, let's say, that paid attention to, the conversation we were having, maybe intrigued by it, wanted to shut me down if I was going to say whatever. But yeah, I mean, it's stuff like that that really gets you going, because it's like, now you're not just having a conversation, right? Now they've got gadgets and gizmos that are meant to sense or detect, energies and blah, blah, blah. And they're going off and otherwise wouldn't go off. And so it really kind of adds to the mystery in that specific moment.
Well, as we got about 1 minute to go, what are you looking forward to asking Olav here as we bring him on in the next half hour? What do you need to know?
Olav has had a lot of great conversation with Alan about Terry Wriste and other stuff. So I would imagine that he probably has some insight that maybe the public doesn't have. And although I wouldn't necessarily want him to share all of that, if it would give away the keys to the kingdom and allow somebody to come along and impersonate Terry, it still might be interesting to see what additional insights he has that maybe the rest of us aren't aware of.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it too, just because I love it when Olav comes on the show. He's the only guy who will literally, one of the only guys, I shouldn't say the only one, but one of the only few that I could call him up like 10, 15 minutes before a show and say, hey, my guest just bailed, had an emergency. Can you come on? And he'll be like, sure, not a problem.
Yep.
When? Oh, in like 10 minutes. Yeah, okay, not a problem. He's that good of a guy. Josh, you hold on. Josh Rutledge is here. We're going to get into, is Olav Phillips, Terry Wriste, and Olav Phillips is going to join us as well to figure this little mystery, non-mystery out. This is Spaced Out Radio. My name is Dave Scott. I hope you're having fun tonight because I sure am, and I know Josh is as well. We'll be right back with the second half hour, everyone. That actually worked out good because I could take the intro from the Monday show and splice it into this one so it's nice and smooth.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, not too worried about that. Dirty Fylth, them some dirty hands you got there. Yeah. Olav Phillips. Olav Phillips. Olav Phillips. Olav Phillips.
Hey.
Olav Phillips.
So what's that drawing?
That's Dirty Fylth. He's drawing us a nice cartoon tonight. I believe that is...
It's a wrestler and a Sasquatch. That's all I can say.
Okay.
What's that, Dirty?
It's like good
It's like
one.
a Mike Tyson's Punch-Out situation here.
Dun, 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 dun. Yes, that's what it is so far.
Nice. Yeah, Dirty Fylth joins us to draw some cartoons, Olav, during the
Right on.
show.
Oops.
Yeah. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
Good. I'm gonna let Josh drill you here tonight. Drill
Okie
you.
dokie. I'll tell
Yeah.
you what I know. That I
Do you
can
have a-
tell you.
You have a bright light you can shine over yourself so you just feel like the interrogation is happening.
No, I'm
That's
sitting
right.
outside. Well, we've been having these weird things where I get these flashing lights. And I'll be sitting here looking at the stars, and suddenly this light will just like flash out of nowhere.
I had that happen to me last night. I was sitting outside and did the same
Yeah,
thing.
it's super bright. And then last night I had a white light, a very, very bright white light. I actually got video of it. Cruise over the house, no noise, no running lights, no nothing, just a bright white light went across the sky. I watched it until it faded out.
Wow.
Yeah, we get some weird shit up here.
It might have been the astronauts trying to get somebody to send food.
Yeah, they're going
Stuck.
to keep those poor bastards up there until January, I guess. December.
Are they
January.
really?
Well, they can't.
Yeah.
So in Boeing, and I used to be a Boeing employee, but in Boeing, in their infinite wisdom, did not put an autopilot on that thing. So it has to be crewed to descend, to deorbit. You need somebody on board, and they can't get the attitude thrusters to work, and they got all kinds of problems with it. So they have yet to fix it. So they can't deorbit it, and it takes
Hey,
up one
Olav?
of the docking portals. Yeah.
Celeste Altus
Yes.
wants to see your beautiful face on camera.
No, I have no light. You just see darkness.
You could just
Plus,
point your camera at the night sky.
I'm being accused of being Terry Wriste. I got to be mysterious.
That's right. Wait, shh. You don't know that yet. We haven't put that
Oh,
on the
okay.
air. Remember, Olav, no swearing. Hey, Celeste,
No
just
swearing.
for
I
you.
got it. Fucking.
Horns up just for you, Celeste. I know you know that I know that you know that I know that you know that means something awesome.
Yeah. Hi, Celeste.
All right. How's your beard, Olav?
I cut it a little short. It's been so hot here. I needed it. I kept the
Oh, yeah.
goatee though, but I had to shave it down a little bit because there was a point where it was like 120 degrees. It gets super cold here, but it also gets super hot.
You
I think
just
we're
need
over
to-
right now, so I can
You
grow
seem
it
to have like Velcro attached to your face, and then you could just
up. Sure.
you could Velcro on a beard and then Velcro it off.
Oh no, growing the beard's not a problem. I've had a beard since I was like 19. I shaved it off for a little while, but I didn't like it.
My beards grow in patchy. I just get patches of hair all over my face. I look like
I wanna-
Teen Wolf. for a little
I
bit.
wanted to grow long so I could like braid it, or do something stupid with it. But it just won't grow. I can't get like the Grizzly Adams on. It just won't grow.
All right,
that fast.
guys, we got about 35 seconds before we got to come back. I want to quickly remind everybody the super chat is open. It's a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. As well, you can shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag. You can wear our stuff out in public and be proud of it. Even Kira wears stuff of ours in public, and she's proud of it. Yeah, and she's a fashionista. She totally is. So we appreciate it. J Truth Seeker, how you doing? And we're going to get going back here in about 3 seconds. Yeah, 3 seconds. Here we go with the second half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Always a pleasure to be broadcasting to you live from SOR headquarters in the jungles of British Columbia. We're talking Valiant Thor and Terry Wriste. Josh Rutledge is here with us for the second time in 3 nights, hanging on out, and we're going to get into it with him momentarily. But first, we want to say this important message to all of you, that if you missed portions of this show or others, you can check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Let's get to Josh Rutledge. And Josh, the other night when we were talking about Terry Wriste, there were comments that Terry Wriste was actually Alan Greenfield. There were comments that Terry Wriste is Greenfield's protege, known as Olav Phillips. So I got a hold of Olav today and said, why don't you join Josh and I and come on and do something about this rumor? So we welcome in Olav Phillips now. Josh, thank you for being with us. Hello, Olav.
Greetings and salutations, Dave.
I love the greetings and salutations every time it gets me. So, Josh, do you or me want to ask that important question?
I'll ask it. Olav, have you now or have you ever been Terry Wriste?
Absolutely not. I am not Terry Wriste.
Okay, should we drop the spelling maybe to just Terry Wriste or Terry Wriste without the E?
I have nothing to do with Terry Wriste.
Nothing to do with it.
Never met him, don't know him. I mean, I've read the interviews. I've talked about Wriste to Alan Greenfield, but I have no contact. Well, I take that back. So I had contact in a way. At one time, I attempted to contact him in a magical sense, which is possible, right? And I know that Wriste had some interest in that stuff, and so I attempted to contact him via magical means. I tried twice. The first time I was pushed away is the best way to describe it. The second time, just a few minutes later, I figured, let's play telephone tag. I tried again, and what I saw was it would have been through his eyes. And I was very specific about trying to figure out this deal with Wriste. And what I saw was somebody driving a white Toyota Corolla, I think. Given the hood and the interior, it looked like a Toyota Corolla to me. And it was some... And it looked like Thomas.
Olav, you're breaking up a little bit there, buddy.
There was grass. Oh, sorry.
There
was grass. Okay, can you guys hear me?
I can hear you now. Yes.
Are you there?
Yep. Go for it.
Okay, so So there were trees, like palm trees, and there was grass where they'd have a lawn, but it was surrounded by desert, and I could see low hills in the distance. And it just, I don't know, I just got the feeling that it was Palm Springs, but it was somewhere in the desert. But that's all I know. I didn't see his face. I did not see, he did not say anything. I just saw a car driving down the street from his point of view. I could see his hands on the wheel. But that was it.
We know that's really interesting because the Terry Wriste that that contacted me and Stefan, as you know, we brought
Right.
you into that investigation kind of early on, but
Yeah.
9 months later, when I received that letter in the mail, which I spoke about in the show we did a couple of days ago, but I received a letter from Terry Wriste saying that he had died. That letter went through the Phoenix post office, like the main Phoenix, Arizona postal site. So
And that
if it
makes
was
sense.
somebody in the desert, that's about as desert as you can get
Yeah,
in
and
the U.S.
the one, well, actually, I think no, it was Scottsdale, but yeah, the one time I went to Phoenix, I was a little kid, but I remember it. I didn't go into the residential part, but I remember it being kind of like that. But yeah, it very well could have been Phoenix. It reminded me of Palm Springs, but Phoenix,
Yeah.
Barstow. I mean, pick a desert town. But yeah, Phoenix makes perfect sense based on what I saw.
So sorry, Dave, I'm going to ask a question if that's okay
No,
with
go
you.
right ahead, man. This is why I
So,
brought him on.
so Olav, when you said you talked to Alan quite a bit about Terry.
Yeah.
I've been going back and reading back through the two discussions that are in Alan's books
Right.
with Terry. Do you feel like that Terry was regional? Like it seems like with Alan, most of the conversation was Georgia. With the Hellier folks, it was kind of the Appalachias with
Sure.
West Virginia, Kentucky area. For me and Stefan, it was mostly West Coast. Do you feel like he's
Well,
regional or maybe more than one person?
well, I mean, it's always possible that he's more than one person. I mean, the only sources of information that exist about Terry Wriste in the public domain are the two interviews that Alan did that he put at the end of the Secret Cipher of the Euphonauts and the Secret Rituals of the Men in Black. And those were those were done in person. He recorded the interviews and they were done in person. And that Terry Wriste was a physical person who Alan kind of knew, sort of, but knew that they shared some information together. But he knew him tangentially in person, like he was a physical
Mm.
person that Alan knew. Anybody could claim to be Terry Wriste. I mean, I saw in the chat thing that somebody was like, "Can I be Terry Wriste?" Sure, if you want to go to Gmail and make a Terry Wriste account,
Yeah.
or Proton Mail or whatever Yahoo Mail or whatever you use. Yeah, you could be Terry Wriste, sure. The difference is though that the Terry Wriste that I think is interacting with Hellier, I believe, is the same Terry Wriste that Alan talked to, based on the way that he speaks and what he's doing
Mm-hmm.
and the information that he's passing on. So, I think that's the same Terry Wriste for whatever reason. But yeah, I mean, you could have multiple Terry Wristes, sure. I mean, hey, I got accused of being Terry Wriste, so why not?
I took an opportunity because we now have AI, right? We have this great new tool called, that we can make
Sure.
use of. And so I took an
Yeah.
opportunity and I took a snippet of the interview that he did with Alan, and
Okay.
I took an email that he sent the Hellier crew, and I took a snippet of an email that I received from a terrorist, and I asked ChatGPT to evaluate to determine if it was likely sent from the same person. And it was a
Okay.
really interesting response because ChatGPT basically broke down the emails and like what, the different parts and pieces that they were,
Right.
how they were composed, their structure, so on and so
Sure.
forth. And what it concluded is that they likely originated from the same person.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I only know the two interviews and what I've talked to Alan about. So, based on what I saw of Hellier, I believe that that is the same guy. And when you're talking about Terry Wriste, right, you're talking about a guy who, he seemed to have some kind of militaristic
Hmm.
kind of attitudes, but also he was an occultist. He was fascinated by Shriver, the Shaver mysteries.
Yep.
In fact, he kind of screwed Alan over on that and took a bunch of. Alan was nice enough to say, "Hey, you're interested in Shaver. I have some of his rock books. I have some personal correspondence that he had with Shaver." And he's like, "Here, you can borrow it. It's fine." And Wriste took off, and
Mm.
Alan had to relocate. And when he came back to the group that they were a part of, Wriste was gone with all his Shaver stuff. So, he knows about the tunnels. He knows about the underground cities, the Darrows and the others. So he has all this knowledge. He has the occult knowledge, to give them, advice based on occultism or the underground. So based on and from the guy that believed that he had met Terry Wriste, all those things seem to align with the Terry Wriste that Alan knew. So I'm not surprised.
Yep.
Olav, are you surprised that there are people out there who think you are Terry Wriste?
Yeah, I'm very surprised by it. But I got bagged as being John Teeter too. But no, I'm not. Yeah, I was on a
Yeah.
documentary in Italy where they tried to prove or disprove that I was John Teeter, but they apparently proved to their satisfaction I was not, because I'm not John Teeter. But it's I guess I'm not surprised because everybody's looking for an answer,
Hmm.
because he's a very enigmatic figure, and I do possess the information that would probably allow me to fake being Terry Wriste quite effectively. I'll be honest about it, but I have no interest in being Terry Wriste. I just don't. It's not something I would do. What's the point?
You want to add it to your resume?
Not really. Well, the thing you have to ask is Occam's razor. The simplest answer is probably the right one. And, if if you run that same chat GPT thing against Alan's writings, I think you'll find that it's different, because Alan writes differently, as do I.
Yeah.
And what would I gain at all from being Terry Wriste?
Right. Well,
I can't tell anybody. So what would I gain from it?
Yeah, you can't, if you claim it, you potentially open yourself up to a lot of heartache, potentially.
Yeah. And I couldn't maintain it. I don't know. I mean, I know about the Shaver mystery, sure. Who doesn't? But some of the stuff. I mean, sure, I can tell them to go do the ritual of Pan, sure, in a cave. Anybody can. But eventually, some of the knowledge, some of it would break down, because, to make it simple, I don't know Terry Wriste. I've never met him.
Right.
Never met the guy. Alan doesn't know Terry Wriste that well, so to sustain it in that style, writing in a way that you are not, it would be challenging. So, I don't think it would be sustainable.
Well, and to your point, I'm pretty sure if Alan was Terry Wriste, and Terry Wriste was back in the limelight like he is or has been over the last couple of years, pretty much since Hellier
Right.
came out, you would think that Alan would somehow incorporate more Terry Wriste stuff into future writings, and he has not.
Correct. And he would, push, as anybody would. He would push more of what he is known for, and Wriste has not. I mean, if if this whole Terry Wriste thing hadn't come up, most people, unless they really delved into his research, which I have some of it, you wouldn't even know that he was really that interested in Shaver. I only knew he was interested in Shaver because I've had long conversations with him about it. But,
Mhm.
it's not what he's known for. He's known for, opening portals and being a magician
Right.
and a magus and researching UFOs. And, none of that really the occult part does, but none of that really factors into what they're doing in Hellier. Terry Wriste is leading them on some kind of wild goose chase, and I have my own beliefs about why and what the end goal is. But there would be more. Everybody has an agenda. I have an agenda. Dave has an agenda. You have an agenda. But
Right.
if Alan was the one being Terry Wriste, they wouldn't accidentally find his book, right? He'd be
Right.
like, "You should," because Alan's quite obsessed with the secret cipher. So he would have gone straight to the secret cipher. That's my belief. I mean, I could call him and ask him, but I'm pretty sure that if he was the one doing it, he would be leveraging the cipher more, which he is not. They figured that out. They decided to use it. They
Yeah.
realized the 93s were everywhere, and that they could use it, leverage it. But they use it in a very traditional sense. The way that they're using the cipher, is right out of the book. The cipher is capable of much, much more than
Yeah.
what they're doing. I mean,
I,
I figured that out. You can do a lot with it.
I remember the couple of times that I've had the opportunity to interview Alan for my other show.
Sure.
The way that he uses the cipher is he'll plug in a phrase and see what the number corresponds to, and then he doesn't then look in like the book of the law to see what it relates to. It's the way that the online cipher works and everything, but
Right.
he'll get the number value and he'll see what other phrases result in that number value. So it's really again, he's more comparing it to like the English dictionary from that regard more so than a specific book.
Yeah. So when the cipher was originally, I forget the name of the guys who found it in England in the 70s, but when the cipher was originally discovered, Crowley was very specific in his instruction that it should be used against the book of the law. But in reality, you can use it on anything. You can use it on the Bible. You could use it on War and Peace. I've tested it against Discordian books. I've tested it against the Bible. I mean, it always works, but it doesn't. The cipher is dynamic enough that it doesn't really matter because it's metaphorical. It doesn't really matter what book you use. The metaphor is still
Right.
sent to you. Yeah.
Yeah, and so in that case, it's really just again, it's coming back with the numerical value and seeing what else comes up with that numerical value, and then you have to then take into consideration the contextual information about how you came to the phrase or the word that you're plugging into the cipher to
Correct.
determine what potential resulting phrase may be applicable.
Right. And when you use it enough, what you'll find, and it gives you potentially a lot of output. The more you put in there, the more you get out. But when you ask it a question, and that was the big change that I made to the cipher, was actually asking it a question. Before it was like you put in names in places and times and whatever. I started to ask it questions, and I proved that it would answer. And what you get back are lines from whatever book you're using that correspond to the same numerical value, but they're metaphorical. So if you use it enough, what tends to happen is that you look at, there are 50 responses, but for whatever reason, and this is the magical element of it, this is the geomancy that exists. It's technomancy enabling geomancy. So you are, when you trigger the cipher, you're actually triggering a magical event. And so the responses you get are magical by that very nature. And so when you use it enough, you'll be looking at it, and one line or two lines or four lines will pop out at you, and you'll be like, that's it. And I used to do readings for people using the cipher, and I'd say, ask a question. And so, being diligent, I would give them what I perceive the response to be out of the 50 responses. I'd say this one I think is probably the one you're after. And sometimes they would disagree and pick a different one. But what always happened, because I'd give them all the responses, one of the responses would make absolute perfect sense in a metaphorical context. Now, there is a way that you can chain the cipher with another cipher that exists as well, and you can actually get it to respond in clear text. But only Alan and I know how to do that. But there is a way that you can actually, by chaining the cipher, you can actually, with another cipher embedded within it, you can actually get an actual response that is in clear text that makes perfect sense.
Well, in the cipher, I believe, and I don't want to get too far into the cipher conversation, but the cipher, I believe, is based off of taking the alphabet, starting at A, going 13 characters in, assigning that to number 1, moving through the alphabet like that, and then coming back around all the way through until you've assigned each letter a number, and then you get, the resulting combination of letters back in a numerical value. So you could do the same thing with 12 characters or 11 characters and get a completely different cipher response.
But you will always get a response that's metaphorical in nature that will make sense.
Gentlemen, a couple things as we got about 3 minutes to go before we have to go to break at the bottom of the hour. Yes, we will be getting to Valiant Thor when we turn the corner on this show for hour number 2. But Olav, you know Alan Greenfield long enough. Do you think if he was Terry Wriste that he would ever admit it to you?
Yes. He's actually a very, very honest person. He doesn't really lie. I mean, if I said, Alan, are you Terry Wriste? He would tell me the truth.
Do you believe that?
100%.
Yeah, I mean,
I've known the man for a very long time.
I can say even when he came on our show those 2 times, I mean, he said things that he on the call said or on the show said, I probably shouldn't have said that, or I probably shouldn't say. Like, he's just he's pretty open, and
he's very
sometimes
open.
it probably gets him in trouble.
Probably, but no, he would tell me, and I asked him, and he said no. And he also gets angry about it.
Gaspiracy in our chat room on YouTube is saying, Olav seems to be tied to Dave and Josh's Terry Wriste interactions. I think Greenfield is responsible for creating Wriste and the earlier situations with him. And now Olav is mainly in charge as the new Wriste.
Okay. It's not true, but all right. He's a physical person. I mean, there was the Hellier crew even interviewed a guy who met him at a gun range. I mean, he's a person. But I can't. There's nothing I can say or do that will disprove, your belief. If you think I'm the new Terry Wriste, but I'm absolutely not the new Terry Wriste.
Not to add to the conspiracy too much, but Terry R. Wriste in the cipher is 192, and Olav Phillips in the cipher is 129. So just throwing that out there.
But I'm not 192.
Yeah, exactly. You're
well, ask it. Ask the cipher if I'm Terry Wriste. I think you'll find that I'm not.
Well, you know what? The mystery will continue, and if Terry Wriste is multiple people, I'm pretty sure all of them are having a good laugh right now, Josh.
Yeah,
probably
at our expense.
Yeah, I'm sure he's laughing his ass off.
Olav, do you think that Terry Wriste is one person or two?
I think there's one real Terry Wriste that's talking to the Hellier people that talk to Alan. That's all I know for sure. I think there's a high likelihood that there's the interaction that you guys had with what would be a real Terry Wriste. But that's a multiverse discussion as well. So,
yeah.
And
I mean, go ahead, Al. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was just going to say that I think in this context, for the sake of Hellier and Alan's books and me as Terry Wriste or whatever, I think there is one physical person who is Terry Wriste, who apparently wrote some other articles that Dave has, and that's I think that's one guy, and he's a person. He's a real person.
Gentlemen, on that note, I got to mute you up here as we are going to go to break here at the top of the hour. Spaced Out Radio continues with the conversation switching from Terry Wriste to Valiant Thor when we return on the show. Stay tuned, everybody. We will be right back. This is Spaced Out Radio with host Dave Scott.
Okay, guys.
Olav,
did I
if you want to hang out with Josh and I and talk about Valiant Thor, you're more than welcome.
Oh, that's okay. You guys, it's your show. You guys have fun with it.
Well, we can.
My battery's at 2% anyway.
All right, buddy. We appreciate you. Thank you, bud, for coming on in.
No problem. I'll talk to you guys later.
Take care.
Thanks, Olaf.
No problem. Thank you. Bye.
Olav Phillips, everybody. Josh, I'm going to turn this over to the dirty one, and we'll be right back.
All right.
Well, I hope you don't hear my fan. If you do, Dave will have to edit it out. Dave, can you still hear me? Can you hear my fan?
No.
Okay, perfect. I'm sweating to death here right now. So I haven't finished this drawing yet. So you guys have listened to me ramble here once again. So we have a wrestler and a Sasquatch scrapping one another. It's actually John Cena because for some weird reason he just decided to follow me on X. And that's pretty cool. So I'll draw a cartoon about him fighting Sasquatch. And also they're saying I have the advantage because if I don't move, he can't see me. And that's it makes sense with the research that I've done. So yes, that's the drawing for tonight. I was kind of wondering about the color for the thought balloons. Never established that. Because here, I got to show this all the time. This is so cool, at least for me. And well, everyone's watching, so all my characters have specialized speech balloon colors, so you know who's talking, especially the aliens. Anyways, there's a preview. Screenshot it if you can. Otherwise, nobody's going to believe you. So, anyways, here we are. If you're interested in looking at more of my cartoons, you can go to Fylthy.com. That's FYLTHY.com. And the cartoons there. Ouch. Gremlin's being rowdy. Fylthy on Instagram, FYLTHY. The usual junk. Just go to the old website, Fylthy.com, FYLTHY. Everything's there. It gives me a ding for the website. It looks good on my stuff, and my web witch is happy about it. So that's what matters. Otherwise, stay tuned for more Space Out Radio with Dave, and maybe Olav Phillips' ghost will hang out. And Mr. Rutledge is here. He's probably out feeding the cats, if he's got cats. I don't know. Yeah, we'll fill in the rest of the lettering. I say it a million times. Anybody that does lettering in comic books or anything like that, those people are absolute legends. It's insane to be able to. Well, I guess you just use computers now, but pretty sure there's some artists out there that just use actual physical media for writing, and anyone that does that kind of stuff is top lad my choice. So I can fill in the rest of the shadows later. click the button down here. And, hopefully everyone's having a good night. My computer's being wonky. Valiant Thor was first talked about by Frank Strangus. Probably said that wrong. Probably. Anyway. Most importantly, you know what actually Dave should do is set up a spaced out radio golf tournament. Everybody likes golf, apparently. And I could go there and draw people getting grumpy because they lost their ball on hole number 15. You know, I was thinking about putting some blood on the stage, but... Hi, Dave. Look at this, John Cena versus a Bigfoot.
That's right. You got to get a hold of John Cena and send that to him.
I'll call him on his personal cell phone tomorrow.
You know him. He started following me on X a couple months ago.
Well, he followed me too. Terrible for him. Now he hasn't bought my book yet. Like I said, I'm gonna have to send him a call and I'm gonna send this cartoon to him. I mean, there's got to be a physical address somewhere. 1-800 or 123 John Cena Street. Something like that. I don't know. I'm not a mail guy.
All right. Still waiting for that first super chat of the night. I can't thank anybody if there's no super chats. Thank you to all our new subscribers. I see a bunch of new faces in our chat room tonight. Don't forget to hit subscribe and ring that bell. Hi, Earth Goat Tress. How you doing? And anybody else? I think we're caught up right there. Here we go, everyone. Here we go with hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. We always appreciate you tuning us on in wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Reminder to all of you that if you've missed portions of this show or others, you can always check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/spaced out radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. All right, we continue on with Josh Rutledge here on the big show, hanging on out, doing our thing. And Josh, thank you so much for being here tonight. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, again, Dave, it's been a great conversation the first hour. It was a great conversation a couple nights ago. Looking to see how the second hour goes.
Well, you know what, my man? I could say this. I'm glad you were here for Olav to clear up that he is not Terry Wriste. And I think both you and I know Olav good enough to agree with him that that's all it was. You know, your thoughts on that as we wrap it up?
Yeah, you know, I agree with kind of the sentiment he gave. You know, I think that, you know, at the end of the day, if someone like myself or Olav or Alan, where we're trying to, let's say, peddle our wares, if we were Terry Wriste, we would likely use it in some way, shape, or form to do so. You know, Olav would be putting out statements. Terry Wriste would have an Instagram account and put all kinds of stuff out there trying to get people to buy books or whatever. And I would be putting stuff out trying to drive, you know, people as Terry Wriste to my YouTube channel or whatever because I think at the end of the day, we're as people, we're, you know, we, as Olav put it, we have an agenda, right? Well, Terry doesn't really seem to have an agenda other than to get people to research and look into things that he thinks should be looked into. So, yeah, I think it's, you know, myself, Alan, Olav, you, anybody else, we would probably use that platform to push our own agenda.
Well, let's get right to Valiant Thor. For people who may not understand the Valiant Thor story, give us a little history lesson.
Yeah, so we first learned about Valiant Thor via a book by Dr. Frank Stranges called The Stranger at the Pentagon. And basically, in that book, Stranges lays out his interactions with Valiant Thor, how he came into contact with Valiant, what Valiant was here to do, basically using the book as kind of a jumping off point to really explain again that understanding that he had around Valiant's message and what he was here to try to convey to humans. Valiant landed in Virginia in like 1957, I think is the date or the year. He went and met with the president. He apparently was given an apartment underground. He lived in Washington, D.C. for a long time, let the government experiment with all kinds of his technology. And then, the trail kind of goes cold at that point. But there's been some communication from Craig Campobasso in recent years around his interaction with Frank and some potential additional details around Valiant Thor. So that's kind of the gist of it.
When did this story start?
So Frank wrote his book in 1967, which was like 10 years after Valiant Thor supposedly, landed in Virginia. So Frank's book, again, kind of the way I mentioned it before, kind of the golden age of ufology, if you will. You had people like Gray Barker and, Ray Palmer and Richard Shaver, like all these kind of names that have become synonymous with kind of ufology in our past. And so it was books flew off shelves, zines, were created, little pamphlets and things that had all kinds of stories and accounts. And it just was a very interesting time, I think, for ufology in general. And so because of that, and we had this, Stranger at the Pentagon, a very interesting story, a very interesting title. And so people bought the book. They were very intrigued by Frank's account. And Frank had a little bit of, he was a preacher. He was a Christian preacher. He and his wife, they were part of a small church. They were interested in ufology, but really regarded themselves as religious leaders more so than ufologists. And so I think maybe at the time that carried with it some weight that, you wouldn't have maybe somebody that, who was a religious leader, who basically put their name out there as this UFO story. They would do so and face the scrutiny and possible, loss of their leadership in the community on a bogus tale of Valiant Thor.
Valiant Thor looked very human. His team looked very human.
Yeah. I mean, it was. Go ahead. He was described as being like 6 foot tall, very. Just kind of very handsome, an older gentleman, maybe in his late 30s or so. Very interesting. Frank talks about that he didn't have any fingerprints. In Frank's book, he talks about that Valiant Thor was created, like his body was created for the purpose of the mission. That in itself almost has a ring to it, similar to the Day the Earth Stood Still, very similar kind of a situation there where I'm going to get the name wrong, but the main, and somebody's going to correct me, but the main character that later was recreated and played by Keanu Reeves, his body was created for the purposes of conveying the message to humans. And so a lot of people look at that similarity and say that that's where the Stranger story that, he pulled from pop culture and put this together. But again, for me, Frank never gave any, detail, or Frank never gave any reason, in my opinion, to not believe his story. And so, yeah, he was very tall. He was very, quote unquote, beautiful, handsome, whatever the word you want to use is, didn't have fingerprints. I don't think he had a belly button, if I remember correctly in the book. So, seem to be created for the very specific purpose of interacting with humans.
He said he was from Venus, that his team came from Venus. What do we know about Venus from what we learned from Valiant Thor?
Well, Valiant really talks about Venus being this beautiful land that's full of sprawling cities. And at the time, because we didn't know much about Venus, I think people were a little more easily to believe this story. We later learned, of course, with space probes that the surface of Venus is pretty much uninhabitable. But it's possible that these sprawling cities that Thor talks about may have been underground. We always think about, because we predominantly live above ground, that any other civilization would choose to do so as well. And so it's very possible that they live underground or were forced underground at some point in time in that planet's life cycle. So it's very possible that the way that Valiant Thor talks about his home planet of Venus is in the underground sense of the word, not so much the on the surface part.
Why do we believe that this story is out there? Why do we believe that this is actually a true account?
It's very, I think, subjective. My response is going to be obviously, people, I think, want to believe that there are races of beings that are more advanced than us, that we're not alone in the vastness of space, and that they want to believe that they may even be as close to us as planets in our solar system. We also think about space travel in the way that we understand space travel, and so oftentimes we put those same restrictions on how much another species could travel to us. But so it cleans up those lines a little bit if we think about that they're coming from planets within our solar system. In all actuality, I think that whether it be that they're actually living on planets in our solar system, or they come from some distant galaxy, like Indrid Cold describes, coming from the Ganymede galaxy or whatever. Whether that's the case, the underlying message, I think, is the part that they, if they're legitimate, I think the underlying message is the part that they would really like us to take away from it. Not so much do they really live on Venus, or do they really live on Lanulos, or whatever the case may be. And that underlying message is the thing that I think that Frank is really trying to push or put ahead in his book. And the underlying message being that, we need to stop fighting amongst ourselves and take care of our planet, unite, realize that we're all one big human race, and we don't have anywhere else to go. So
the message always seems to be the same, whether it's from Valiant Thor or whether it's from other people who say they've had content given to them by extraterrestrials. And that always is, take care of the planet, take care of the people, take care of what you have, otherwise bad things can happen. It seems like such a basic message for something so civilized, or somebody so civilized and futuristic.
Yeah, the other thing that's something that this ties into the Shaver mystery a little bit as well as other lores or mythos within other cultures around the world, is that humans aren't the only intelligent species living on the planet. That there's, in Shaver's case, there's the Darrow and the Tarot. There's the city of Shambhala. There's the inner Earth or hollow Earth. There's lots of stories around that topic. So it's possible that they're conveying the message not so much just on the behalf or rather to benefit humans, but rather that the actions that we take not only impact us, but the entire planet. And if there are other species that live here, either underground or hollow Earth or whatever the case may be, that our actions impact them as well.
It is very interesting that, Valiant Thor in his history, was able to get right to the president of the United States, I guess, but being an extraterrestrial, if the story is true, that's obviously probably what would happen. If, like you said earlier, it was a take me to your leader type of situation.
Well, and Frank talks about how Valiant had telepathic abilities. Like he could say, let this guy through, and the guard or whatever would just let him through. So it's very possible that Valiant used those same capabilities to basically put the suggestion, if you will, into the mind of the guards or the police officers or whoever else was between him and the president, to say, I'm very important. For all we know, he even projected some image of somebody else that needed to go and meet with the president. And so they rushed him and ushered him through to meet with the president. Frank, when he talks about when he first met Valiant, it was because Valiant Thor basically called telepathically to Frank, and then again gave the guard the suggestion, everybody else, that Frank was supposed to be there. He was meant to be there. Frank didn't have any issues getting through security, so on and so forth. So it was very much, I think, a understanding that as humans, we're going to be very fear-based initially on things we don't understand. If we just saw this alien craft land in Alexandria, Virginia, we're going to, maybe be very fearful of it initially. So Valiant, steps in, he telepathically says, you have nothing to fear. Take me to your leader. I am, Valiant Thor. I'm here to talk to your president, so on and so forth.
Was his communication always telepathic?
Frank I don't know that we know the answer to that. Frank in his book says that a lot of times it was telepathic in nature. Frank would get kind of these feelings or these messages that he needed to go and meet Valiant. So it seems to be that most of his communication was probably telepathic in nature. It's been a few years since I read Frank's book. It may talk about any type of non-telepathic communication that happened. But I would say that probably for Valiant, if his normal mode of communication was telepathic, it was probably much easier for him to communicate that way than it would have been to use verbal speaking.
Right. Now we look at him as being humanoid, looking like you and I. What were some of the subtle differences that Frank Strange has talked about in his meeting with Valiant Thor? You mentioned the belly button, that he didn't have a belly button earlier, but was there anything else to do with the fingers, the ears, the toes, or anything like that?
Yeah. So again, he didn't have fingerprints, which was Frank noted in his book. I don't recall in Frank's book if he denoted any. I mean, he said he was tall, 6 foot. He had blonde hair. He describes him as being handsome, or I think he might have used the term beautiful in his book. Frank, in the way that he regards Valiant, in that he was created, he really equates him almost as kind of an angelic figure, in that he was purposefully created for the task at hand, and so he was given features and function that would make him presentable, and the ability to appropriately contact and reach the people he needed to.
Well, that's interesting that it played out that way. I thought he had something to do with his ears as well. Like his ears were not pointed like Spock, but that there was something to do with his ears.
I do recall something to that regard, but I since I can't directly reference it or say it specifically, I don't want to theorize on it, but I do recall something in that regard, that his hair covered his ears. I remember Frank talking about meeting him at some ufologist kind of gathering that was happening in somebody's backyard, and he saw that Valiant Thor was there with some of his crew members that were also at that location.
How many crew members came with him?
Oh, you're going to hit me with the hard questions now.
Wasn't it? I thought it was like 3, maybe 4.
That sounds about right. I, again, don't have that specific number readily available, but that sounds about right. I remember that some of his crew members provided additional, like the suits that they were wearing. They were able to take them underneath the Pentagon and like fire flamethrowers at them, and shot them with everything. Hit them with a laser. They tried to freeze them. Nothing was able to penetrate this very, fine fabric. So I know that there were crew members involved in those tests and providing that additional material for them to test. But I don't know if specifically. I want to say at least 3, but you might be right on. There might have been a 4th.
Okay. When many people believe that Valiant Thor is still here. He may not be working for the government anymore, but he is still here. Is there anybody that would know that answer, whether or not he is still here?
Yeah, so I mean, Craig Campobasso, he's written a couple books for MUFON. I've got some on the shelf behind me here. He met Frank in the 70s when Craig was a teenager, and Frank kind of became Craig's mentor and helping him understand ufology. Craig in himself, he's had a lot of different contact over the years. I think he believes he was an abductee, but he was actually given, or this is all per Craig, based on an interview that I did for him for another show. But he has met Valiant Thor. He said that his ship is parked somewhere in California. It's cloaked; it can't be seen by the naked eye. But that Valiant is very much still on Earth, and he is subtly influencing things as he's able to from his ship's location here on Earth.
Do you buy that?
I don't have any reason not to. I mean, I think, again, kind of talking about the why we like the mystery, keeping him around, keeping him, available to be engaged, available to be maybe called upon, like, Olav was talking about with Ingrid Cold. The Terry Wriste that contacted me, he said that Ingrid Cold actually worked for Valiant Thor, that he was an agent of Valiant Thor as a part of this kind of larger initiative to, again, kind of bring humans along, evolutionary, so to speak, in our thought processes and our emotional capacity and so on and so forth. So if that's the case, I would imagine that, if the boss is still around, if he's got, boots on the ground, so to speak, that are out there doing that necessary work, he's still hanging around to make sure that everything's being coordinated. I don't have any reason to doubt Craig. Craig's been, for best that I can tell, very honest and open with me in conversations that I've had. So I don't have any reason to doubt him. He said that he's still here. I have to believe that he is.
I would love to say that I know the answer to that. I would love to. But the funny part about it is, and where I always worry about stories like this, is when we have those individuals who are the only ones speaking about it. Mm-hmm. And Craig Campobasso seems to be the only one in the United States who has that deep down knowledge of it because of his relationship with Dr. Frank Stranges back in the day when Stranges was alive. I mean, there's nobody else really tackling whether or not this is a real person. You know what I'm saying? I understand that it probably wouldn't be on any type of FOIA request or anything like that. But with everything else, there's always been whistleblowers. We haven't had a whistleblower come out really about Valiant Thor.
I mean, when you think about it, we haven't really had a whistleblower come out about really anything other than the stuff that's happened since 2004 forward. So when you think about the government whistleblowers, Grush and all that, I mean, he says that there are alien bodies captured in Roswell, but that's probably the only, pre-2004 encounter that whistleblower that we've had come forward. So
Hold that. Hold
okay.
that thought. We're going to continue that conversation. Josh Rutledge is here until the top of the hour. This is Spaced Out Radio. My name is Dave Scott. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott.
All right, we're clear, my man. We are clear. All right. And let's like this. T-Bone, are you saying that you are not an alien? Elena Denon. Oh, I knew about Laura Eisenhower. I didn't know about Elena Denon, typical skeptic. I didn't know. Thank you.
When we come back, I need to make some corrections on some stuff that I said.
Yeah, not a problem. Not a problem. It's all
I confused two people.
Oh, that's okay. We don't do safe rooms around here, so they'll be okay.
Okay. It's important to me that I represent the facts.
No, we'll do that.
Okay.
I have no problem with that. I'm just trying to figure out in the back of my head here why my one program keeps shutting down. This is where I wish I knew computers, man.
Oh. Well, I know computers, but there's nothing I can do from here.
Yeah. Yeah, my my Spreaker program, I could get it started, but all of a sudden, like 2 nights ago, it just started. Was it Monday it started? Yeah, Monday, it just started freezing. Like I have 2 major computers in my studio.
Mm-hmm.
I have the one that I'm looking at right now. I got the tower right beside me. And then behind me, like right below here under the desk, there's another tower there, that's the only thing that computer runs is my YouTube up top and my Spreaker program down below. And that's it. Otherwise, I don't do anything to that computer. It's not out of memory. It's not out of anything. And all of a sudden, like as of Monday, it's just been stalling. You know, I don't get it.
May have a driver that needs to be updated.
Well, let me check on that. Let me check. Because I know this computer, my main computer, as of last night, I had to put it through update last night.
Yes, I mean, if you went through, I guess it's Windows.
Yeah.
You went through Windows Update, it's possible that you have a driver still that needs its own firmware update.
Well, let's see if it's time to update. Check for updates. We got 2 minutes.
I don't think it's a PEBCAC, so you know what a PEBCAC error is?
No.
Problem exists between keyboard and mouse.
Necessary. It's not. Well, hold on. Your device is missing important security updates. Make sure you keep your device unplugged in. Okay. Well, what's it missing? Completed. Oh, it's downloading all my security updates right now. Okay, we'll leave it at that for now. Sweet Robbie G. Ba 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 ba. He hates that song. He hates it. What? With a passion. But it's so good. So good. So good. That's right. All right. Big thank you to our lone super chatter tonight, T-Bone, my man, coming back hard into the chat room after a little bit of a break and dropping a 10 spot right there. That's the way it's done. That's the Canadian way right there. You want to know how to be Canadian? Be like T-Bone. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Look at that. Hates that song, Rob says. With a passion. Dave's an a-hole. Yeah, you should hear this guy insulting me on our phone calls and our private convos. He is a dirty bastard, that guy. Sweet Robbie G. Here we go, everyone. Thank you, Flat Six. Here we go with the second half of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. We always appreciate you tuning us on in as I go vertical or horizontal with my microphone. Why? I don't know, but it's happening. It's happening right now. Reminder to all of you, let's just go to the show. What the hell? Josh, how you doing, buddy?
I'm pretty good. Should I go horizontal with my microphone just so I can,
follow the way. Follow the lead. Is it going to stand up?
Can y'all still hear me?
Yeah, I can still hear you.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. There
it's
we
the
go.
horizontal mic crew, everybody.
Isn't that perfect? Isn't that perfect? Oh my gosh. All right. Thank you, Necessary Dialogue, for the super chat. Appreciate it. Since my Spreaker is down, I can mention the super chats in real time right now. All right. All right. We're talking Valiant Thor here with our good friend Josh Rutledge. Why do we know or think that Valiant Thor is still here? I'm still baffled by that.
Yeah, and
There's
I
no
do want to
proof.
go. I do want to go. Yeah, real quick, I want to go back and I want to correct some things, if that's okay. So, I think I said that he had blonde hair. I was confusing him with somebody else. I know it's Valiant Thor. Who would you confuse him with? But he actually had brown hair, wavy, neatly groomed, is what the interwebs says. And as far as his crew members, he had 3 that he brought with him: Jill, a female; Tanya, another female; and Dawn, a male crew member. So yeah. So back to your question: why do we believe that he's here? It still, I think, is it's one of those golden age of ufology stories that has stuck around. Craig Campobasso is keeping it alive. Is he doing it because it benefits him somehow, or he just, he wants to keep his friend's story out there and alive? I don't know. Me personally, I like to think that he's still out there because I like to think that as humans, we're interesting enough that we would attract the attention of another intelligent species to want to come and help us in some way. And 2, I like to think that he's still out there, or that the story is real, because it says something, I think, about the possibility of we have more growth in front of us. It's I think it was Einstein that said something, and I'm going to butcher this quote, but something around the regard of, when your technology exceeds your intelligence or your spirituality, something in that regard, you should be worried. And so, and I feel like we over the last 100 years have seen and continue to see these big bounds in technology, but yet we as individuals or as a species are still kind of carrying along our same, viewpoint of each other, of our problems, and just how we think each one of us should live, and so on and so forth. And so I think we're reaching a point where we as a society were ready for some sort of an evolutionary step, so to speak, of our emotional, our spiritual, our intellectual, to be able to reach to the same level of our technology. And so maybe that there is some species out there that sees that we are on a dangerous path, perhaps, and wants to stop us, or to, at a minimum, maybe redirect us in a more appropriate way. I think it's really interesting too, and I was thinking about this earlier today, like all of these really interesting characters in ufology, Indrid Cold, Valiant Thor, there have been others, but they all really seem to come to the U.S. And I don't know why. I don't know why that is. I don't know if it's just because ufologists are more vocal in the U.S. I know there are ufologists that exist all around the world, but are there similar characters that are interacting in other parts of the world and we just don't ever hear about them?
Well,
I don't know.
that's something that I find an intriguing question. You hit the nail on the head. Like, where's Russia or China or Japan's Valiant Thor? Where's Britain's Valiant Thor? Where's Canada's Valiant Thor? Why does this is, to me, look, I know the United States is one of the greatest countries in the world. I get that. And I know there's a lot of people who love to shout from the rooftops, chanting USA, USA, USA. But I don't think every alien species in the world is waving the stars and stripes. Okay. And I don't understand why we don't hear about these stories, or maybe we're too landlocked here in North America to actually get into those stories of any type of alien interaction with other governments of the world, sending aliens from Venus. Like, you'd think that out of all the planets or all the countries on this planet, then I'm sure they had more than one spaceship to send Valiant Thor to one country. When you're coming, if you've done your homework on this, you would know that there's over 200 more countries that you could send any type of pack to.
Well, and I think the idea that if you somehow sway the people of the U.S., that will sway the rest of the world. I think that may be a misplaced notion or idea. And if that is the idea, it doesn't seem like a good strategy from a potentially highly advanced species. And so it really then makes you wonder if, they're highly advanced in the way that they have, interstellar travel, or maybe even just inner universe travel. But maybe that's as far as their advancement reaches. Maybe they're not more advanced than us on an emotional, spiritual, knowledgeable, intellectual level. Maybe they are similar to us in that capacity, and so they don't make good thoughts or strategies around what's the best way to talk to people and that will cause real change on the earth.
Maybe so, but it still baffles me. Like, I understand other countries, like Russia has had their own Roswell,
Right?
Canada has had their own Roswell, China's had their own Roswell. We know Brazil has had it. We know there are a bunch of different countries that have had their own Roswell type incident. But when it comes to the world of actual alien contact, it seems like it only happens in the USA.
Well, we know that Adamski, he had contact back in the 60s or something like that, 70s. I don't know that story very well in its entirety, but I know that he had contact. I don't know. It seems very odd that for whatever reason, most of the big players in non-human ufology seem to make contact with U.S. people. Now, maybe it's possible that they are making contact with the governments in those other countries, and that those governments are keeping it very tight-lipped, and so that's why we never hear about it. We never hear anonymous posters on message boards or whatever talking about, time travelers or ufonauts or whatever the case may be. You think about Project Serpo, which I mentioned on Monday night. That was supposedly told to us by a person posting as anonymous on a UFO messaging website. So if that was a whistleblower from the government, maybe other countries don't have the same mechanisms for that type of whistleblower type activity to come forward.
It could be. But I can understand in many other countries where we see them shrouded with secrecy. Okay. Canada doesn't talk about it. The UK doesn't talk about it. Australia doesn't talk about it. The New Zealanders don't talk about it in the Five Eyes. No, they're talking amongst each other, but publicly they're not putting information out. Paul Hellyer stated that the Canadian government was in contact with 2 different extraterrestrial species. Okay, so maybe it is happening, but it would be nice to see it happen elsewhere as well. Like sometimes, you want to see that outsider come from the back of the pack to near the top of the lead. It's like watching, the Masters in golf. You're cheering for that underdog who's 4 shots back.
Yeah, I mean, and it's also, I guess, very possible that if it is happening, like you said, in other countries, like with Paul Hellyer in Canada, and people are talking in the community, but they're not really talking outside of the community. Maybe that's just where it ends, and then for some reason, people in the U.S. are just loud, and they want other people around the world to know whatever they've experienced, and so maybe it's a cultural difference of keeping it in borders versus out of borders. I don't know. I mean, there have been strange occurrences that have happened and have made their way to the U.S. Datloff Pass is a very interesting occurrence that happened that has made its way to the U.S. But how many others haven't, because of whatever reason, it's just stayed, kind of behind borders or within that specific community, or maybe no one really talks about it. Maybe it's more taboo in some of those other places than it is in the U.S. or Canada to talk about it. And so you don't want to be labeled or whatever the case may be. I don't know. I mean, it would be really interesting to talk to somebody who's lived their entire life in a non-Western country to see if they have had, if there are other community-based UFO, paranormal, whatever experiences that are discussed within the community but never make their way outside of the community.
I got a few questions here from T-Bone, my man, who wants to know, first off, what do you think about the George Adamski story?
Yeah, so I mentioned that story, but I don't know much about it. So I'm going to be perfectly honest and say that that's not one that I've researched very heavily. And so I don't want to theorize on what it is because I'm just not entirely sure.
All right, let's go to number 2 from T-Bone. Do you think NASA was formed because of Valiant Thor?
Well, I mean, NASA predates Thor as far as the if you think about NASA being predated by NACA, NACA, I think that NASA was probably created around the same time that the Air Force was created because of the Roswell incident. You look at Roswell crash happened in July of 47. The Air Force was publicly created in September of 47. I have to look and see when exactly NASA was founded, but I know NACA existed going back all the way to like 1929, I think, or 1915, maybe even for NACA, NACA. So I don't know that it was created for Thor. I mean, they might have had interactions with Valiant Thor, especially from a space travel perspective. But I think NASA probably came to be same reason for the Air Force, because they had solid proof that we could go to space. And so they needed to have an organization to help control the flow of information in that regard.
Good call. Good call. Let's give our man T-Bone the hat trick here. Josh, what do you think about the Soul Quest book? Do you know anything about that?
I don't know anything about that. That's new. I'll add that to my list.
Soul Quest book.
Google that real quick.
Soul Quest, a guide to access the wisdom of your soul. Is that the one, T-Bone? Is that the one? Maybe fill us in on that.
I mean,
Tucson MUFON. Yes, I know it's Tucson. Much more fun to say Tucson. Is that Shane Hurd?
I don't know. Shane would be Phoenix MUFON, I would think, if he was.
Yeah. Dr. Zed1, welcome to SOR chat. Who else is here? Yeah.
Soul Quest.
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. See what T-Bone has to say. T-Bone, put the piece of chicken down. Put down the KFC and respond to which Soul Quest book. There's a number of them out there. Oh, no, it's Karen from Tucson. Hi, Karen from Tucson.
Yeah, if it's the Soul Quest, I mean, most of them seem to be of the ones that are out there. Most of them seem to be around kind of unlocking your destiny, if you will, or your purpose for being here. If that's what it is, if that's what it's related to.
Selfish. It's always a purpose.
Individually, I think that we all do have some purpose for being here that's greater than just discovering the mystery of UFOs. I think that sometimes we know what that is and sometimes we don't. And so we go on little quests throughout our mundane world, if you will, trying to figure out what that is. I think that sometimes we have these experiences that we have, whether they be UFOs or Bigfoot or paranormal, as kind of an initiatory experience towards putting us on that path of discovering what we're here to do. And so in that regard, a lot of these cases for the people that they happen to serve as kind of that initiatory ritual of, now let's go figure out, let's kick off your hero's journey, so to speak, and go figure out, who it is that you are supposed to be, in this existence. What are you here to figure out? What are you here to find out about yourself? So on and so forth.
That makes sense. See if T-Bone has responded yet. No, not yet. Put the chicken down, T-Bone. All right. Let's go to Paramar. What impact do you think Valiant Thor visiting and working with the U.S. government may have had on how the government handles UFOs and aliens now?
Well, I mean, if we assume that Valiant Thor, the whole incident was true, then the only opportunity that we know, or the only way that we know about it, is because of his interaction with Dr. Frank Strange's, which means that the government has pretty much stayed true with it, which is keep it a secret, right? I think that, if you look at governments around the world and the way that they think about UFOs in general, it's mostly keep it a secret. Put out just enough information to keep people at bay, to keep people feeling like they've got something out of us, but really at the end of the day, they didn't really get much from us that they didn't already know. Um, and so, if anything, that the Thor experience with the government probably helped the government in its understanding of capabilities and technology and adversaries or whatever the case may be. But if Thor's goal, conveyed by Frank, was to really encourage us to be more peaceful and less warlike, I mean, a lot of conflict has happened since 1957, when Thor apparently, landed and went and met with the U.S. government. So they either took everything that he said and put it in a vault and never spoke of it again, or they took it and used it the same way that they use every other piece of information or security detail that they gain, and that is to further their own agenda.
Oh, it's always about furthering an agenda, isn't it? Man.
Yep.
I want to ask you, as we got about 4 minutes to go here, because I know you are a ufologist. Are you looking forward to Lou Elizondo's book coming out next week?
I am. I pre-ordered it.
Me too.
There was I came across a YouTube video where someone, apparently a lot of the book was leaked, and somebody used some sort of an AI program or something to basically pull the book details together and put it out there on YouTube. And then, like, it was Leto, Lehto, there's a YouTube channel. He went through some of the content in the book. I mean, if just that content that I saw from Chris Leto is in the book, it'll be a very interesting read. The thing for me is that Lou Elizondo is still under an NDA with the U.S. government. So anything that's in the book, either one of two things is true. Either it's all been scrubbed and sanctioned by the U.S. government, or he's going against his NDA and opening himself up to a plethora of legal problems. So if you think about, disclosure as being a slow, methodical rollout of information, disclosure began, in my opinion, in that regard, then when the Pentagon came forward and said, yep, those 2 videos, they're legit. Yes, we took them. And then disclosure has continued from that point forward. And so if Lou Elizondo is putting his book out and it contains any of the information that either supports Grush or talks about any of the details that Grush has hinted at in his testimony, then it's all a part of a deliberate, slow disclosure. Because again, he would be opening himself up to a lot of legal problem if he put people, dates, names, places, details in his book that went against some sort of an NDA.
Well, I'm wondering, and I've got my book pre-ordered too. And I could tell you, not this weekend, but the following weekend, I am going to be burning through that thing. So I'm ready for the Monday night show to go over it with Tim. And I could tell you this, I don't know if he's going to name names, but I'm hoping.
Yeah.
I'm really, really hoping that he drops a couple of names that we haven't seen before. Or even names that we have seen, but we haven't put 2 and 2 together.
Right.
I'm not interested, no offense to these people, because I like these people, but I'm not interested in what Danny Sheehan has to say. I'm not interested in what David Grush has to say, or if Lou is supporting Grush, because I already know that, in talking to Lou in the past, that he thinks David Grush is a great guy. What I want to know is, who are we missing? Are there any blades of grass that need to be mowed down together?
Yeah.
That's what I want to see.
Well, and I think I would like to see some bit of information that at least points us in another direction to go and maybe find, somebody can submit another FOIA that has the missing information that they didn't have to get the answers back in a FOIA that they otherwise wouldn't have gotten. Like, if it's just a book filled with why he went into, his career and why he did the things that he did, but it doesn't actually include anything that helps further the topic of ufology, then I'm not sure the benefit of the book.
Josh, I've got to say goodnight to you tonight. Thank
Yep.
you for coming on Spaced Out Radio for the second time in 3 nights. It's been a lot of fun. Thank you, buddy.
Yep. Thanks for having me on. It was a lot of fun.
All right. We'll talk to you soon. Josh Rutledge, everybody. Coming up next, let's have a little bit of swamp time with Swamp Dweller. Tim James has the UFO report. Yeah, we'll get to a bunch more stuff coming up in hour 3.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott.
All right, buddy. We are clear.
All right.
Clear
So-
as day.
Yeah. So thanks again. A lot of fun.
Oh, yeah. That was a blast. We'll do this again, my man. I really
Yeah.
enjoyed chatting with you.
Yeah. Pick another topic. Let me know.
Yeah. And remember, we're trading shirts.
Yeah. I'll message you about an address
All right, dude. We'll
All right,
talk
man.
soon.
later.
Later. All right, everybody. I'm going to take a quick break. Okay, we still got audio there on that test. That's good. So Tim's just getting ready behind the scenes here. Thank you to T-Bone, Flat Six, and Necessary Dialogue for the super chats tonight. Very much appreciate the love and support. Helps us out with what we do here on a nightly basis. Hi, Stu F. and Gerson. How are you? All right. Yeah, Noble Patrick got a Bigfoot tattoo. Nice. 30 seconds, everybody. No, we didn't find out who Terry Wriste is. Cosmic Joe, thanks for adding to the super chats. Greatly appreciate that, my man. All right, here we go. All right, let's kick off the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Good to have you with us. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. Got a plethora of features there for you. Rock to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon, Space Travelers Club. Desert Clam has set the password for tonight. What do you got for us, Clam? Hold on. I got to pull it up. I am in slow motion right now. I'm so tired. Dude, I've done 12 hours of radio in 2 days, plus worked 8 hours a day at my daytime job. I literally got this true. This is true before we get swamped with it. Packable, by the way, is your password. Thank you, Clam. Use it wisely. People always ask me, what's the password for? Exactly. That's the answer. Exactly. If you figure out that riddle, you know what the password is for. So, anyways, I want to say a big thank you to Walter M. Sterling from Sterling Every Damn Night for allowing me to join Connie Willis and co-host his show for a couple of nights. That was a lot of fun on WPHT in Philadelphia. Fourth largest market in radio in the United States. Yeah, they actually still have people listening to radio there. Oh, God, it was a lot of fun. But I got to tell you, I'm tired. I am tired. Let's get to the swamp.
Hello and welcome to Spaced Out Radio's Swamp. I'm Swamp Dweller, and tonight I'm going to take you on a mystic journey of the unknown, sharing tales of monsters, legends, and nightmares. Welcome to the Spaced Out Radio Swamp. My girlfriend and I went to Marshall Lake in Flagstaff, Arizona, for dispersed camping. The scenery during the day was beautiful, but as soon as the sun went down, it got entirely too cold that we decided to put the fire and retreat to our tent. After the sun had fully set, we settled into our tent and tried to get some sleep, even though it was still early. Please remember that we were in the middle of nowhere, and not a single soul was nearby us, perhaps maybe about 1.5 miles from the closest tent we had even seen. After lying down for 30 minutes or so, my girlfriend and I began to hear footsteps around our tent. We didn't hear anything approaching, and it was as if they conjured and just started right in front of our tent and started moving. We grabbed our bear spray. We decided to peek out the tent to see if there was anything nearby, but there was absolutely nothing out there. We went back to our sleeping bags feeling pretty spooked. However, 15 minutes later, we heard a strange noise and then what sounded like somebody walking around our tent again. But it would start right in front of the tent entrance and then go all the way around clockwise, and never any differently. We would never see any footsteps on the ground, never see any shadows, anything like that. Therefore, we left that place in absolute minutes. We broke down our whole campsite in record time. We hiked out of the woods faster than I ever have, and we eventually reached a motel. We wondered if maybe there were any skinwalkers out there, as we couldn't see any animal tracks behind our tent, and we were confident that we heard footsteps walking around. What do you guys think in the chat?
What do you think? Aaron is asking, is Dave seeing a ghost? No, I'm actually testing out. I did an update on my other computer, and I'm testing out to see if our Spreaker program is actually going to work, because that's what sends everything to the podcast networks. And, we kind of need that for our radio stations. So we're testing it out to see if everything is working. So we want to make sure we got the levels there. All right, let's get to the UFO report.
That is an interplanetary flying space saucer. You have made me very angry. Very angry indeed.
All right, our big man, little Timmy James, is here. How we doing? Hold on, I got to turn your microphone up so people could hear you. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well. You look tired.
I am tired. I am totally tired.
Not fun.
No, you know what, though? It's been enjoyable.
Yeah.
Remember last week I was telling you this is going to be hell week?
Yes,
Yeah.
I do.
I could tell you that in about, let's say about 45 to 55 minutes from now, we sign off the air.
I'm out of here.
You're out of here because I'm going straight to bed.
Yeah, no doubt.
Going straight to bed.
No doubt.
But yeah, no, you know what? I've enjoyed it. Having the opportunity to play big market radio again is just, it's been so much fun this week.
Awesome.
It really has. And, thank you to Walter M. Sterling for allowing me that opportunity to do so on WPHT 1210 AM out of Philadelphia. Just an absolute honor.
Well, he's normally on every damn night, isn't he?
Yeah. He's on every damn night. And, in order to push, it's the funny part about it is we had to say Sterling every damn night.
Mm-hmm.
That he even put a memo out about that it was, every damn night.
Uh-huh.
So we had to follow the rules and guidelines of what Mr. Sterling wanted.
Yeah, well, understandable.
It's his show.
That's right.
It's his show. But I'd never done that before.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I got to admit, like tonight, Connie Willis had a little bit of a technical snafu.
Right.
And so I had to carry it. I was a little nervous because I didn't know the script line on what they were doing. And I didn't know about anything. All I'm hearing in my headphones is just keep going. Just keep going. All right. I can do that. So I was just blabbing away.
Sure.
Then finally they got Connie back. So that way she could take over like the weather reports and everything and lead us into commercial.
Perfect.
Yeah. So it was kind of cool.
Oh, that's good.
It was kind of cool. Once you get the immediate jitters out that there's a technical issue.
Yeah.
Because the one thing as a host, when you're hosting in radio, is you're never prepared for a tech issue. And the only thing that you can do internally, you're hitting that panic button.
Yeah.
Because you forget what you're going to say. And you're not prepared for, this is true.
Mm-hmm.
You're not prepared for the error. You never prepare for an error.
No.
Because everything about radio, the one thing about it is, it's got to be damn near perfect every time.
Yeah.
Every time it's got to be damn near perfect, if not perfect. And if you're not perfect and you have things that are, snafu, shall we say.
Yes.
All of a sudden, you're panicking because you don't know what's going on,
Mhm.
but you have to continue on because you can't have dead air.
No.
And it's like an adrenaline rush of what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? And what do I say? Okay, let's go to this. You know,
Keep yourself
Let's do that.
calm.
yeah,
Yeah. Good luck, right?
yeah. Joe Monk says in the chat room, "What's the password for?" Exactly. Has anybody figured out that riddle yet? What time is it in Canada?
It depends on which province you're in.
We have 5 time zones?
Yes.
Okay, we got Pacific, Mountain, Central, Eastern,
And-
Maritime,
Yeah.
and Newfoundland.
Yeah.
Newfoundland, 4.5 hours.
I know,
They're
right?
so different, them Newfies. They're so different.
I love Newfies.
Yeah. Mel, we are on Pacific time.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Quarter after 11.
it's 11:15 right now, Pacific time. There, it froze. It just froze.
Yep.
Okay, so we can stop that.
Mhm.
1 second here, guys. You're being part of our test right now. Why did that freeze?
Well done, it says. Awesome.
Oh, why did that freeze? Doesn't matter which channel I'm on. Huh.
Uh-huh.
I wonder if. No, that's the one. Don't need to mess with that. Sorry, guys. We're trying to figure out a technical issue here as to why my Spreaker program is all of a sudden freezing up.
Well, I was even checking online and nothing's coming up like there's an issue with it or anything like that. So,
I don't know.
yeah, no.
I don't know.
Hmm.
It's so weird.
Very strange.
It's so weird. You want to do some UFO talk
Sure, why not?
while we're here?
Yeah, might as well.
While we're here. Hi, Seven Samurai. How you doing?
So obviously there's not a ton of stuff going on right now.
No.
I mean, I think we all, without saying, know what's going on in the United States right now. So that's taking top priority over everything. So finding something new and exciting and adventurous and wonderful is like trying to find frog's fur right now when it comes to UFOs.
Did you just say frog's fur?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, chicken teeth, all that good stuff. So bear with me. I found some stuff, and it may be a little bit not necessarily
You did
old.
not. You found stuff?
I did. It's like, by about 2:00 this afternoon, there was another story I was looking at, and I was like, oh my goodness, come on. Like, yeah. So anyway, one thing, and it's just kind of like a headline, that Senator Martin Heinrich became the 4th sponsor of the Schumer UAPDA document today. So he'll be the 4th. He's a Democratic senator, and I can't remember where he's out of. So that was kind of cool. So that's building up a little momentum. But again, like I say, they seem to be focused on some other stuff going on down there. So there's not a lot of news that way. But 2 Congress members, and both Republicans, what was it, Tim Burchett and Anna Paulina Luna.
That's such a great name, Anna Paulina Luna.
Anna Paulina Luna.
Her parents did well with that name.
Yeah, exactly.
They did.
So what they've done is they've jumped in, and I'm assuming we all know about the Nazca mummies. They have jumped in, and they are going to join an investigatory team that, and they're trying to get the mummies shipped to the United States. So basically what they're saying is that, this just happened, Monday, and they just put it out and said, hey, we're going to get into this, but there was no real story behind it. So today they came out with some stuff, a little bit more of an explanation of what was happening. So obviously Peru's famous alien mummies are set for the US, where Congress has pledged to crack the mysterious cases once and for all. So Republican Tim Burchett, known for his outspoken criticism of the U.S. government's UFO secrecy, vowed to assemble the most important people in the world, that was his quote, to examine the bodies which some scientists claim harbor 30% unknown DNA. Now, the congressman said he would initiate this new analysis at the University of Tennessee, Knoxville, in his home state. So the team at the Tennessee obtained $500,000 from the Department of Justice just late last year to better understand skeletal remains and relic DNA. Though Representative Burchett has not called the bodies aliens, his plan is sure to spark fear akin to the firestorm that accompanied the mummy's debut before Mexico's Congress last September. So legal experts also stated that despite the representative's best efforts, U.S. treaty agreements with Peru could delay the transnational shipping of the eerie remains. Now, I'm pretty sure, like I say, everybody's heard about this and stuff, and there was a lot of skepticism about these mummies, and I know you and I were talking about it on Monday, but I guess one of the big things was that they figured that the bones were taken out of graveyards by grave robbers, and then the skeletal remains were then designed with, I guess like paper mache, for lack of a better term. Somebody's done some work on these and stuff, right? So and this is since 2017, if I recall correctly. So what is happening now is there's a lot of people on the outside that are commenting on this going, oh God, are we going down this road again? And there's a lot of skepticism. But I'm not quite 100% sure what the motive would be. It almost seems like they want to just research the heck out of this, investigate the heck out of it, and either say, yeah, we found something, or we haven't. They just want to get it over with. Seems to be kind of lingering. And I don't think that, if I pronounce his last name right,
Jaime Maussan.
Yeah, Jaime Maussan. He's not letting go of this. He's a dog on a bone, right?
He's not going to let go of it because he's riding his reputation on this.
100%.
And he knows that there have been prolific scientists who've come out who have tested some of the DNA and seen the sequences, who say that these are chicken bones, these are bird bones, these are, infant human bones. There is all this kind of different stuff that has been said. I am definitely not a supporter of the Nazca mummies, and to all respect, okay, to everybody involved, I do have to disclose this. I have been paid to do voiceover work, not much, but I have been paid to do voiceover work on 2 different documentaries about the Nazca mummies. So I do like to put my 2 cents in there and come clean and come forward on that. And when I say paid, we're talking 3 digits here, not 4 digits, not 5 or 6 digits.
Getting pesos.
Yeah, pretty much. Right.
Yeah. What I'm gleaning from this is it almost sounds like they just want to get this over and done with and then figure this out. Right. So I know that, the Republican lawmaker, what he had said was he had pledged to Mustafa that, in an interview which aired on Monday, I would gladly help you. So I guess Mustafa has a radio show called No Humana, which is basically no human. But yeah, Congressman said basically was just like, yeah, we'll help you find someone that would analyze them. So I guess from what I'm hearing as well is that the guys out of the U.S. don't feel that Peru and some of the other places that have had a look at these mummies really have the capability or the technology to dig into them. So this is kind of like their run around, I guess. There's a lot of posturing, and there's a lot of, we're going to get this done and we're going to finish with it. And, get to the bottom of this, and we'll help you, and so we'll see what happens. But like I say, they're saying, what they want to do is bring those scientists, and what they're going to do is, his quote is, "We will look for the most important people in the world." And he said, right here in Tennessee. So that quote in itself is, we're going to look for the best people in the world, but they're only in Tennessee. So not quite sure what that is. It's again, it seems to be appeasing, right? So the University of Tennessee, Knoxville, the school that the congressman referenced as likely candidate for the work, is home to the internationally recognized Center for Forensic Examination of Human Remains. So it's the body farm, right? So last December, the U.S. Department of Justice, a research and development agency, the National Institute of Justice, awarded 2 grants to the farm, more formally known as UT's Forensic Anthropology Center, totaling more than $580,000. One of these grants, amounting to $229,000, will help the researchers better grasp and one day correct for the phenomena of so-called relic DNA, which can linger on a site of forensic interest and thus contaminate dig sites and crime scenes. So the third project at the body farm, connected to the DOJ's NIJ, will spend $660,000, hoping to improve the genotyping of older and long decomposed skeletal remains and DNA. So the story carries on. So it just kind of surfaces it, nothing very deep about it, but it sounds like, as long as Peru wants to give up their relics or their remains, we might see something. We might learn something. And personally, myself, interesting, but
I don't believe they're real.
No,
that's my opinion.
Yeah.
Okay. When I hear scientists like Gary Nolan talking about how it's not real, I kind of take their words for it.
Agreed.
Okay, people who are much smarter than me. Jaime Maussan is a very respected journalist in Mexico. He's like their Walter Cronkite.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay, so I think he knows that, and I'm surmising here.
Sure,
okay,
absolutely.
I think he knows that he's put his reputation on the line with this. And if these do end up being faced by independent scientists, or they do end up being fake, that's where we are going to, where it's going to really hurt his credibility.
Yeah.
Because he's thrown everything. He even got them smuggled out of Peru to be part of the Mexican UFO disclosure conference.
Right.
Okay. And so there are a lot of scientists who've looked into the evidence and do not believe that these are real. So I'm curious to see where it goes.
Yeah.
But hey, more tests don't hurt.
No.
And if it does come out that these are real, will they even tell us?
True.
Right?
True.
Or will they, let me finish this up, or will they disappear as what happens in a lot of segments when it comes to weird, strange stuff? We got under a minute to go.
Okay. Yeah, and you're right. My thing is that reading it and gleaning from it, like I said, but he is animate. He's like, if this was fake, why would I be bringing this up to everybody? I mean, people fib, people lie, people tell stories, but to me, he seems very, very on top of it. Like, this is real, right? So not sure. We'll see where it goes, but who knows, right?
Well, we're going to see.
Yeah.
We're going to see where it goes and how much this actually makes sense. Because I don't know if it makes sense.
I know, me neither.
But it's not going away.
No.
Let's see what the tests say. Let's see where it goes from there. There we go. Speaking of going, we're going to go into break here.
Cool.
At the bottom of the hour. We have 30 minutes left of the UFO report. Little Timmy James is with us. And we will return. We got about 20 seconds here.
This is Spaced Out Radio and your host, Dave Scott.
Old Davey worn out. Yeah. Literally. These have been 14 plus hour days.
No.
That's a little long.
Mm-hmm.
A little long.
Yeah.
Why didn't my music fly?
I don't know.
Why didn't my music fly? It didn't play. Hold on. Why didn't that play? It did, because I didn't have the speaker up. Good job, Dave.
This is Spaced Out Radio and your host, Dave Scott.
I should try turning my speaker up so I can actually hear it.
Oh, dude.
Which reminds me, I got to go to the mailbox tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't been to the
This thing's pissing me off.
I can
my
tell.
mind is totally on this right now.
Hey, we got product placement for
What's-
product placement for Spaced Out Radio.
All right. All right. Let's see. I emailed Spreaker, help, I need help. 3 days in a row now during my live broadcast, my studio keeps freezing. Our usual reply time, under 6 hours.
Oh, perfect.
Lovely. Lovely.
Mm-hmm.
I will be sleeping by then.
Thank you very much.
Do 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 do.
Oh, did you see that, Rob? Dave said Dave reinstalled the Spreaker app. That should resolve it.
I saw that.
Okay.
Yeah, let's see. And now it's working fine again.
What is going on?
Because I didn't reboot it. This is just fricked. Fricked to everything.
Yeah.
Report an issue. My studio keeps freezing after about 19 to 20 minutes of broadcast. Why? Big Nancy Kerrigan. Why? Too soon?
No. Oh, that's awesome. Jesus.
However, we don't book promos or sci-fi fiction, fantasy. If you'd like to talk about experiences on our radio show, as we are not a podcast, please email Klaus Best regards. SOR team. There we go. My biggest pet peeve, or one of my biggest pet peeves with this show, is when people call us a podcast.
Yeah.
I hate that. Not to be insultive or
No,
anything.
but that's not what it is.
Connie Willis and I actually had that conversation off the air.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Got like 7 seconds. Testing 1, 2. Plays out. Doing a couple things here. Space Out Radio, you know, the yada yada. Everything. Tim's there. I'm here.
You're there.
Yeah. I'm glad Josh really carried this show for 2 hours.
That was brilliant.
Oh my God.
Yeah, for
I'm
sure.
so glad I brought him on again.
He's
So glad.
He's awesome. I really liked it. Just, yeah, good guest.
Yeah.
Good guest.
Yes. Dr. Z1, we were in a commercial break. Normally we're much tighter than what we're doing right now because we are a live radio show. But
We are a little bit
we're
slow.
just YouTubing tonight. We're just YouTubing tonight.
Exactly.
That's for sure. I hope you guys don't mind us being a little bit more chill and relaxed. I don't know why. Blah. How do you like the logos up here now? I love our logo.
I do too.
It is a gorgeous logo.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie.
Got to get a couple of stickers for the truck.
I have some.
Yeah, no, somewhere.
They're upstairs right
Yeah, that's
now.
okay.
Or they're somewhere around here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I know how much you love headlines.
Hold on. Should I get my reaction ready?
Yeah. That's it. So did you happen to hear today? Did you hear about the Boeing pilot? They got they took film. I can't even be serious with you. You got a point and all that sort of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
there.
Hold on.
Yeah. That's right. Can you believe it? Oh my God.
God, I hate those reaction
I
videos.
know.
I hate them so bad, man. They just drive me nuts. For those of you who are YouTubing on shorts,
Yeah.
please stop with the. I don't need to. Like, I was watching this one guy. He's a cowboy. He's got a big Texas flag behind him.
Yeah.
And he's just sitting there like this the entire time for like the minute and a half video. And I'm like, why?
I know.
Like, go. All you're doing is stealing people's content to put your face on there.
Exactly.
If I was somebody who had my content stolen by these people who are giving reaction videos, I would totally flag them.
They're just sampling, Dave.
I don't care. Flag them.
Yeah.
Just
I
flag
agree.
them for. Why are you flagging? It is dumb.
Mhm.
Mm.
Yeah. A waste of time.
Uh-huh.
So, anyway, I guess this morning a pilot got some really, really good video footage. He was flying. Where was he coming from again? Coming out of Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, to Abuja, Nigeria. He was flying a 747. So what had happened is him and his crew witnessed and filmed multiple UFOs performing impossible maneuvers in the night or night sky. Captain Ruud van Pandergaman.
Oh, I love it. Rude.
Ruud. Why do I
Ruud.
always get the names like?
Let's see the name.
Yeah.
Let's see the name. Hold on. Gonna see the name here. Oh, he's a Dutchman.
Yes.
Captain Ruud van Pangerman. Or Pangermanan.
Mana.
Banana. There we go. You know what? I don't know what's more scarce right now. Seeing a UFO in the sky or a 747 from Boeing.
Yeah, I know. You duct taped wings and all that sort of stuff. So anyway, I'm not going to read this whole story. The video is apparently quite good, and so all the crew reported it. Everything was done. They've got the film on it, and as soon as they landed and got off the plane, the film was taken away. The video was taken away. But from what I'm reading, is that one of the crew has the same video.
Oh,
yeah.
Of course, their video was taken away.
Yeah, of course it was, right? Yeah. So
Captain Rude. That is an awesome name.
I know, right? So yeah, it was pretty interesting. Everybody in the know that was there said it was phenomenal. It was almost like, what was it in 19? Gosh, there was a reference point. It doesn't matter. There was 4 of them, and he said that they were flying above his plane, and then they stopped, and then they dropped down, and then they were moving left to right, and they got it all on tape. Right. So who knows? We'll see if that pops out. But yeah, there's a little teaser in there, and the guy was saying that one of the people that were there, didn't say a crew member, but one of the people who were there has his own film of it, and they're going to try to release it. But I guess now that you've said that to the media, right? I guess your bosses and your government and whoever else isn't going to come looking for you to try to get that other video from you, right?
Right.
We'll see. We'll see.
Well, for a lot of pilots, I mean, they are still scared to make those reports, and it's not just them. If they film it, like in this case where the film was taken, that's company property on their aircraft. So the company obviously doesn't want to be associated with any type of UFO report.
No, exactly.
Does it say what airline?
No, it didn't. But I'm thinking if it was flying from out of Saudi Arabia and Nigeria, between Saudi Arabia and Nigeria, yeah. No, it doesn't say at all, actually. So obviously they're obviously Eastern Air, whatever. Yeah, no, there's nothing here. So yeah, basically it was just a lot of stuff, but they compared it to the Phoenix Lights. That's what it was. Phoenix Lights in 1997, there was those 3 that were hovering around, and the pilots and stuff saw them hanging over the city, and they were moving the same way. But this time there was 4 of them. No real, he thought it was a star twinkling at first, the standard stuff, right? But we'll see. Nothing really came out of it besides, I like the tagline at the beginning of it. It's a bizarre incident has left the aviation community stunned. Do you know any pilots that have called you and said they were stunned by this news today?
No.
I know, right?
No. It's blowing up the aviation community.
That's right.
Yep.
We can't keep it together.
News at 11. Captain K-Rod has entered the...
Again, there's only some people that get that.
Yeah. I used to love Captain Caveman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Saturday mornings.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah, no doubt.
We didn't get enough of as a kid? Grape Ape.
Oh.
He was good.
Okie dokie.
And the Hillbilly Bears.
Those guys were good. That was all Hanna-Barbera, though, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what's funny?
No.
Is growing up, my buddy's dad talked like Pa on the Hillbilly Bears.
Oh, my God.
We'd be like, what'd you say there, Pa?
Laughing at his own jokes.
Dad never got it. He never got it. Oh, man.
That's funny.
Oh.
Yeah.
Good memories there.
Oh, no kidding. Bowl of Cheerios spilling in your lap. Oh my
It
goodness.
used to gross me out as a kid. You'd only eat Cheerios, and they'd have that one that had like the burnt side.
Yeah.
That used to gross me out as a kid. Oh, did that gross me out? You know what? There's certain things I cannot do anymore from my childhood.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can't eat Cheerios.
Okay.
When they changed Raisin Bran to become more synthetic a few years
Yeah.
ago, like I used to eat Raisin Bran
Mm-hmm.
every day for breakfast.
Yeah.
Every day. I loved Raisin Bran.
Yeah.
And then they changed it.
Yeah.
And they like the flakes now, they made, instead of the flakes getting soggy, they put some chemical on them. So it's like, they're all crunchy all the time. I didn't like that.
Well, you know what that is?
I don't care what it is.
Yeah, that's the Clark Griswold non-nutritive food varnish.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, I get it.
so apparently Captain Rude has his own YouTube channel.
No way.
Yeah. Pork chops. Can't eat pork chops.
No.
Yeah. My dad and my grandfather
Mm-hmm.
loved pork chops. So every time I went to my grandparents' house,
Mm.
it was pork chops.
Yeah.
My mom cooked up pork chops every day, almost.
Yeah.
Pierogies, can't do them anymore.
No. Oh, I love pierogies.
Yeah. Well, number one, being Ukrainian,
I get it.
my grandmother made the best pierogies.
Mm-hmm.
And I quit eating them after my grandmother couldn't make them anymore.
Yeah. I
Okay.
get it.
So I can't do that. No. What's the other one? Eggs.
What?
I still eat eggs, but my father ran an egg plant.
Okay.
Okay. He had eggs all the time. Hate eggs.
Yeah.
Can't stand eggs. They stink to me now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I eat them because they're good for you.
Yeah.
So what else? Raisin Bran. That's a few of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, my mom used to do the same thing, like single mom. And it was, we were living obviously paycheck to paycheck, so to speak. And so she would make lunch for us when we were going to elementary school. And I remember this one time, and I think it was called mock chicken loaf or something like that. And we'd never had it before. So mom made the sandwiches, and we come home from school, and mom comes home from work, and she goes, "Did you eat your lunch?" And it was like, "Yeah." And my brother goes, "Oh, those sandwiches were so good." My mom goes, "Oh, right." I think for the next 2 years, that's all we ate for lunch. I cannot have any of those Oscar Mayer.
No.
No. No.
Quinoa is like that for me now, too.
Really?
Yeah. I call it quinoa.
I know you do.
Yeah. Can't eat quinoa anymore.
Oh, okay.
I see it. I just want to take my plate and throw it off my patio.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
No.
Boiled potatoes. That one, I know it's tough. Scallop potatoes. I never want to see them in my
Oh
life
my
again.
gosh, man.
Never want to see another scallop potato in my life.
Wow.
Nope.
Wow. See, boiled potatoes, my mom English, Canadian English, my dad English Irish. So yeah, lots of boiled potatoes.
Now, if it's the big ones, don't like it.
Yeah.
The little ones, those
yeah.
tiny little tasty bastards.
Yeah.
Especially the purple ones.
I love those.
Yeah. Those are good.
Yeah.
I'll do that.
Yeah.
But not the big ones, man.
Well, the big ones, I found that with my stepmother, she's German, born in Germany, and they call it I'm going to say it wrong. Salzkartoffel, I think is what it's called. And it's just boiled salt potatoes. I don't know what the heck they do, but it tastes phenomenal compared to just every other boiled potato.
Moody Mongol dropping some truth here.
Mm.
Just spelling quinoa evokes anger in Dave. Yeah.
No, I don't mind it. I just find it if it's mixed, like I don't mind it if it's in a salad or something like that, like chicken curry salad or something.
Yeah.
But as a side dish to replace potatoes or rice, I just find it too much, right? And what was it? Mitch Hedberg said, rice and quinoa is good if you want 250 million of one thing, right, on your plate. It's like, yeah, I can't do just straight quinoa.
Yeah. Well, about 10 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
the missus decided that she wanted to try eating more vegetarian.
What's wrong with that girl?
Okay. Well, number one, that was wrong. Number two, she kept substituting beef for quinoa.
Ew.
Yeah. So she decides one day that she is going to.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
We'll be right back.
she decides one day that she's going to do stuffed peppers.
Mm.
And instead of beef, she was going to fill the pepper with quinoa.
No.
Okay. I know it's quinoa. I call it quinoa. It's like it's Tucson, Arizona. Okay.
Yeah.
So, anyways, I bite into this thing. And I'm telling you, man, for the next 20 minutes, I was like a cow chewing its cud.
Oh.
Right. And it's
Yeah.
getting in my teeth and
Yep.
all this. I take
It's
another bite, and the same crap happens. I look down at this plate. I silently rose up with my plate, took it right to the garbage can, pushed it in, and I said to my daughters, I said, let's go get some real food.
Mm-hmm.
After that happened, every time she went on one of those kicks for quinoa or whatever,
Yeah.
it was like I would have to call her just to say, what's for dinner tonight?
Oh, no. Okay.
And or my daughters, we had a code
yeah.
that if experimentation was going on in the kitchen,
Mm-hmm.
call me. I'll pick up dinner on the way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, for sure. No, I don't.
Quinoa is like fancy sesame seeds, but it has no taste.
No.
It's just literally like a cow chewing cud.
And it's actually very good for you. And I think it was like, it dates back to like into Egypt and stuff like that. I think they were eating it, right? But who knows what else they were eating
Yeah.
in Egypt back then. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
If we end up doing another fan party,
mm-hmm.
you want to piss me off at the fan party, bring me a bag of quinoa.
And macaroni salad.
Oh, macaroni I hate too. I can't. You know what? I have had maybe in my life 2 bowls of macaroni.
Really? Well,
And I even looking at it grosses me right out. Just grosses me out. Yeah, I've never been a KD guy. No, you can flush that down the toilet.
Yeah, my dad was the same way.
Yeah.
My grandfather, when he got a lot older, he used to like doing that at lunch. My grandmother would go and get her hair done, and he'd make himself a box of KD. That stuff's so good. My dad, that's rubber bullets. Those are gross, and I like it.
Oh man, if I ever see KD in my cupboard, it goes right to the trash can.
Goes right to the food bag.
No, I won't even insult the food bag with KD.
Right.
Yeah, oh, you son of a gun, Rob G. Well, wearing a squat shirt. Oh, I hate that.
What?
He's just Rob's now bugging me now. Yeah. Rob, you keep up the squatch, and I'll tell you right now, I'm gonna start singing Sweet Caroline again. Drive you nuts. That's what I'll do.
It's so good. Oh man. No. My mom used to make a refrigerated cherry cheesecake. My favorite. All right.
Uh-huh.
And we went down with my stepfather and stuff. We used to go down to LA every year, and his brother lived down there, and his brother's wife. So we went down to Los Angeles, and my stepdad was telling his brother, God, you got to this cheesecake that she makes is fantastic. So on and on and on. Eventually, okay, let's make it. So it's not a hard recipe by any means, but it's done a way that mom made it, and this is the way it's got to be made, because otherwise it's not the same thing. So mom says, I'm going to make cherry cheesecake with Fern was her name. It's like, okay, great. I'm all jacked up and all whatever. And about 3 hours later, mom comes out of the house and she's not looking happy. Well, Fern was the same thing, wanted to be all healthy. So instead of using berry sugar, she used Sugar Twin. And
Oh, no.
yeah, and then took the actual whipping cream, the full whipping cream,
Oh,
and
no.
yeah, got like that 1% fat whipping cream.
I know where this is going.
Yeah. It was the most disgusting cheesecake. And I remember my stepfather's brother, we were sitting, they were in bowls, right? I'm
Yeah.
like, this isn't the right stuff. And he looked over at my stepfather and goes, what are you talking about? Right? The worst, the absolute worst I'd ever had.
You want to know disappointing? I used to love fruit salad as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, like everybody made a fruit salad back then.
Yep.
So I dig in, I eat my dinner, I get my bowl of fruit salad.
Yeah.
Instead of grapes, they put olives.
Oh, what?
Yeah. Instead of grapes, they put purple olives in there.
By mistake?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Who does that?
Gotcha.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. Oh, that just pissed me right off.
Well, I've had cookies made with salt instead of sugar.
Yeah, but that could be an honest mistake.
Yeah, it was.
Right?
But
It's not like making gluten-free Nanaimo bars.
what the heck's up with that?
Lorelei, I'm telling you right now. Stop with the gluten-free Nanaimo bars. They do not taste the same. Damn you, Lorelei. Make sure you show her that.
Oh, yeah, I will.
Yeah.
I'll be, when she gets up tomorrow to go open the restaurant, I'll be like, oh, before you go.
Uh-huh. You know she's going to give me one of those.
Oh, you'll do.
Yeah, I'll
Yeah.
get a middle finger picture from her tomorrow.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
She'll tell you that she sold out of all of her Mexican wraps, too.
Maybe not.
Yeah, I know. We'll hold off until after lunch.
Oh, those Mexican wraps.
They're good.
She was threatening them with me today.
Oh, really?
You know, we only got a few seconds. I don't need to play the extra music. We don't even have a real show going on.
No,
here.
we're just
Hold on a second here.
hanging out.
Where is it here? This is Tim's wife, Lorelei, who owns the Solstice Tea and Noshery.
Yeah.
I still don't know what the hell a noshery is.
I think it's British, and
No,
it's
probably something you got to be missing some teeth with, right? She goes, FYI.
Uh-oh.
Okay, so at the Solstice Tea, all right, Lorelei makes this Mexican chicken wrap.
Mm-hmm.
And literally, it is the best wrap I have ever had.
Yeah.
Ever had. And it's not fancy. It's about this big, about 6 inches.
Yeah.
But it fills you up for like 8 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And I will tell you, it is so yummy.
Yes.
And every day, well, if I have time, I always message her, hey, do you have any? You know, and she'll write Dave on it.
Yeah.
So she went and posted something in our local Facebook the other day, and I complimented her and told everybody go try the Mexi. Well, I guess people in town are listening.
Yeah.
Or reading, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
So she sends me this today. Out of the blue at 2:56 p.m. FYI, you now have competition for the Mexi chicken wraps. LOL. I said, with who? Fuck that.
Right.
She goes, just customers. LOL. One fellow comes in daily. The other switches between those and the Cajun Caesar wraps. I said, well, they are great.
Yeah.
I will just have to keep making more, I guess. I said, yes, indeed.
Mm-hmm.
In the meantime, I'm trying to be polite.
Yeah.
Right? Because, you know, I don't want her to kick my ass and not allow me to eat them anymore. Right?
Yeah.
So, in the meantime, I'm grinding my teeth as I'm typing this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm never complimenting your wife's restaurant again. Or her little noshery, whatever the hell a noshery is. Not doing it.
Okay.
Not doing it. I have to protect my Mexi chicken wraps.
100%.
You know, I have to.
You got to be careful. You don't want to do too much right now, because you just made those sausage rolls that are freaking phenomenal from scratch.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God.
That lady has a talent.
She does.
Yeah, I don't
She-
know how she put together that Mexi wrap, but
I have one in the fridge at home for tomorrow. It said
Yeah.
Dave on it, and it's got a big line cross. I'm just pulling your leg, man.
you really want to be on Spaced Out Radio, don't you?
I do.
Yeah.
I really do.
Yeah. Shit.
Uh-huh.
Oh man. Let's see. Where are we here?
I don't know.
I only have one more left to send. 1 second here. Oh my God. Go to my account. But I'm telling you, those wraps,
Mm-hmm.
if you go on Facebook, I'm going to put the link in there. Do me a favor, everybody. Okay. Go check it out. You can even order her homemade teas.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. She's a tea
Sommelier.
whatever the hell a sommelier is. A noshery and sommelier in the same building.
Mhm.
I don't get it. Solstice Tea and Noshery.
Mm-hmm.
Here it is. Okay, she has 703 followers. Let's try and get her up there. Okay, let's get her up to 800 from SOR people.
There it goes.
Yeah, that's. Hold on, there we go.
Ah.
There we go. See, it froze.
Yeah.
It froze. Right like that.
Yeah.
It froze.
Weird.
I wonder if it. Okay, that doesn't make sense, but it is moving the ball forward on the mystery.
Yeah. No doubt.
Okay. Maybe that's what's happening is the computer is going to bed.
I was just thinking that. I'm wondering.
I wonder if that's what's happening. I just got to keep the mouse moving.
Could be.
That's weird.
Check your
Rob! Rob G!
Robbie G.
Ruby G. All right. Anyways, go to this link right now and do yourself a favor. Order some tea from her. It's really good.
It is all
Yeah.
organic.
I don't think that the Mexi wrap will make it to wherever you are, but order some tea. If you like good tea,
Mhm.
because here's the thing. Lorelei is going to be creating with me a spaced out radio for four different types of tea.
Yeah.
We're going to have the Bigfoot tea.
Mhm.
I haven't named them yet, but it's going to be the Bigfoot tea, the ghost tea. We're going to have the UFO tea
Yeah.
and the alien tea.
Mhm.
And I'm going to guarantee you one of those is going to include blueberry because I love blueberries.
Ooh, very nice. Yeah.
I would like to have some for maybe some caramel.
Oh,
I wonder if we could mix that up.
you can, and she's made something similar to that before with a caramel in it.
Yeah, Dave likes his caramel.
So does Tim.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. and we're gonna do that. We're gonna make a couple more. But if you go, I'm gonna put the link in here again. Okay, don't mess around with the herbicide prices. Just go buy some tea there. Okay, there's the link. I'm watching right now, so if you haven't hit subscribe yet or follow yet, she's up 2.
Right on.
We need more than 2 people. Don't embarrass me. Make me act like I'm popular.
Exactly.
Okay.
Make that total higher.
Yeah. Make that total higher. All right.
Oh, gosh.
You can order her teas at solsticeteas.com.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
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 I have to say, there's a one that I usually have. We've ever since we met. That's 8:00 at night. Is we get a treat and we make a cup of tea and we just sit and chill and
I notice I'm never invited over for that.
well, we're naked.
Prick.
But yeah, there's one that there's quite a few of them that I like, but there's one at night and it's called Om Shanti, and have a cup of that, and then you get into bed and it's like it's like sleepy time tea or whatever you want to call it, but way gooder.
Yeah. Let's see. Let's hit a refresh here. See if these great people are going to actually listen to me.
Right?
Up to 709.
Right on.
Move it on up. Get your T's in there. All right. It's a noshery, people.
Yeah. No ugly tea, people.
No ugly tea. You're not drinking ugly tea. That would be a good shirt for her.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, write that shit down.
You got it.
Hold on. I'm writing it down for
All
you right now.
All right.
No ugly
Tea.
tea. We got to make some funky shirts for her.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah. Yeah, right there. No ugly tea, people. No ugly tea.
Oh.
Lex Diaz, Queen Peachy Keen D. What's the D stand for? Queen Peachy Keen D. You know how hard that is to type? Good morning, Castle Dude.
Hey.
Who else has hopped in here late? Travis William Moosetoos hanging out in Vancouver right now.
Who? Sorry.
Yeah.
Right on.
Trying to find the orca whales.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, they're not even whales. Can't even call them whales.
No.
They're dolphins.
Yeah.
Big dolphins.
But they're mean.
Are they mean, though?
You're talking orcas?
Well, they're mean to other species, but to people, they haven't really been mean. Unless you get one of them rogue pods.
Yeah. The nomad.
But you never hear of an orca outside of an aquarium. Okay, because I'd be pissed off if I was an orca in an aquarium
Agreed.
too.
Yeah.
Okay. You know, as much as I'm not an environmentalist and I like zoos, can't stand the aquariums.
No.
Can't stand them.
No.
I think, you know what? I'll be honest with you. Not to sound all environmental, it's time for zoos to go away.
Yeah. Well,
It's time. Now, you do need some for study, okay? Especially on species that are endangered or
sure.
near endangered,
Mhm.
okay? Because you could have great breeding programs with them. But there's no need for a lion or
No.
a tiger
No.
or an elephant or a rhinoceros,
No.
okay, to be there.
Well, what about when Stanley Park, remember the polar bears?
Mm-hmm.
It was like, what the heck is that?
Yep.
It's like this.
Now they got otters.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
No,
They
then
got
they-
otters.
They had the monkey house and the seals and this. Yeah, I could never quite figure that out. I used to like going down there and checking out the peacocks and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, all the cage stuff I wasn't into.
No.
And it was always that you got to go because your grandma wants to take you. And I'd always like, okay.
Yeah.
You know, day with grandma.
It's like you go to the local zoo in Aldergrove there,
You
know?
Mm-hmm.
and what do you see? Geese.
Yeah. Yeah. And then the elephant.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, the elephant's gone.
Yeah.
I rode that elephant.
Well, so did I. I think everybody in.
Yeah, when they allowed that, like in the 80s.
Yeah.
And then they shut that down, thank goodness.
Yeah. No, for sure.
Right?
What was it? Yeah. Her name was Tina.
Tina. Yeah, Tina.
That's right. Oh my
But
God.
they used an electric prod on her.
Oh, did they? I
Oh,
never knew that.
Oh, yeah. They used to give her a little shot. Like if she wouldn't move,
Oh.
they give her a little shot. But that's how, but back then,
Mm,
people were idiots to animals.
yeah.
Right?
Well, they did. Wasn't it? They did the same thing with the hippo. I think with a phone company that was using it in a commercial.
Is that what Telus did?
Mm-hmm.
They prodded it with an.
From what I remember, it wasn't them that did it, but the people that were working with the
Yeah.
animal did. Yeah.
I had a client one time. This is a true story.
Mhm.
And then we're going to wrap it up.
Okay.
I had a client one time. He says, "You help me out. I got something cool for you."
Yeah.
I'm like, okay. And I said, "What's that?" So I'm talking to him. Well, what do you do?
Mhm.
He's like, "I'm a stuntman."
Cool.
Oh no, he says, "I work with animals."
Oh.
And I said, "Well, you train dogs, you work for the SPCA,
Yeah.
whatever." He goes, "No, I'm a stuntman with animals." I'm like, "Okay,
Hmm.
what kind of animals?" He goes, "Lions, tigers,
Yeah.
mountain lions, wolves,
Really?
everything." So he goes, "You help me out." He goes, "I'll bring you to my farm where the animals are at a
Okay.
farm."
All right.
So it's right by the Fraser River, right across from Mission.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And I go there. And I will tell you this, if you've never pet a tiger,
no,
their fur is softer than down.
Really?
Yeah.
Cool.
I actually, in the house here somewhere, actually have tiger fur that this tiger had shed.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. He had 2 tigers, the mom and the son.
Yeah.
And the son stood up on its hind legs. This cat was like 11 feet tall.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
11 feet tall.
Jeez.
He had a jaguar that was just,
wow.
That was absolutely, he's like, jaguars are like certain breeds of dogs where they just snap.
Oh, okay.
And he's like, but what he would do is over time, they would train the cats.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Because every cat is a hunter.
Of course.
Okay. So what you have to do, because those animals were tame, is you would have to get them pissed off, either as a man or a woman. Okay. So at this point, with one of the cats, their mountain lion,
right?
They would train, because they were training him for a scene where the mountain lion's going to attack a man from behind.
Right.
Okay. And jump on him and push him down. Right. So they were training the cat for that. It takes weeks in order to do that.
Okay. Well, yeah, I can imagine.
So, I walk by the cougar cage, and this cat is looking at me like, "Come here, fat boy. You're a meal." Right?
Yeah.
The better half walks up to the cat. It's purring, basically meowing. She's going head to tail, petting this thing.
Oh.
I walk up, I get fangs.
Yeah.
Okay. Big fangs. Okay. The other half walks up, pet.
Uh-huh.
I will say this. So I took my daughter that day,
mm-hmm.
and they had a wolf pack in a bunch of dog cages.
Yeah.
And I knew nothing about wolves.
Mm-hmm.
I knew there was an alpha and all that. Yeah. He goes, "Can you tell me which one the alpha is?" And there was one that was just, very curious. And I said, "Well, is that the alpha?" He's like, "No." It's like the alpha's in the back, watching everything. And the alpha ended up coming up to my daughter and was just like a puppy dog.
Really?
To my daughter.
That's
a
neat.
puppy. And one of the other wolves tried to get a little bit aggressive, take a nip at my daughter's hand.
Yeah.
And the alpha just turned on that.
Wow.
Yeah, it was really cool to watch.
No kidding.
But
That's
the tigers, oh man. That was cool. That was really, really cool. They only ever had one incident at the farm. One incident. They had the son had some buddies over one day.
Oh, great.
And they were drinking.
Huh.
And
what could go wrong?
The one buddy decided, and they were showing him around, not aggressively drinking, but I guess the one guy had a little bit too much and decided to kind of leave the pack and went and taunted their lion.
Uh-huh.
Didn't go well.
No, I can imagine.
Did not go well. So in order to save the lion's life, they had to move the lion out to a different farm.
Yeah.
But yeah, Siberian tigers, what they were.
Wow.
That fur, dude, like it's been in a Ziploc for
cool.
10, 11 years now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's to this day, like it was behind a cage.
Yeah.
I had the back of my hand right up on the cage.
Mm-hmm.
A tiger's got its nose right against my hand.
I don't know.
Like just an incredible experience, right?
I don't know.
So that was kind of cool.
That is cool. I don't know if I'd have the gumption with those.
Oh yeah, you have to.
Yeah, of course.
You have to. Well, better than a grizzly bear here.
Oh, no, thank you.
Yeah, I don't want that.
No.
Do not want that whatsoever. So let's see if they responded before I log off. No, they haven't responded to crap. All right, everybody. Tomorrow night on the show, who's here? Kevin Day. from the USS Princeton and the Nimitz incident. He's here. He's going to hang out with us. We're going to have some fun talking to UFOs, whistleblowers. Thank you tonight to T-Bone, my man, Flat Six, Necessary Dialogue, and Cosmic Joe for the great super chats. Greatly appreciate your love and support. And hopefully tomorrow night we won't have any tech issues. So we'll get her figured out. Have a good night, everybody. Good night, Timmy.
Good night, Dave.
See you later.
You bet.
Stay healthy, my friend.
You too.
If you need bail money, give me a call.
Always, Dad. Take care.
You too.